Okay, cool. We're live. What's up?
Hey, good to be here on a Tuesday, Tevis. How are you?
Doing well, man. Yeah, very good.
It always feels weird when we miss a bootleg weekly on our standard time. But yeah, it's great to be back and in the groove here. There is a lot to talk about, even though the markets were closed yesterday. We're going to talk some NVIDIA. We'll talk some that partnership with Meta, specifically some Burry and Palantir stuff. Amazon or New York Times, which is the better investment? Well, Warren Buffett probably thinks differently than you guys, and I think that I don't know. It's going to be an interesting topic. And beyond that, Robinhood Ventures as well. Plus, as always, guys, if you have not been with us before, there is going to be a Q&A period at the end. If you're asking questions related to the topics that we're discussing, we are glad to hit those as we go through. Otherwise, we'll have that rapid-fire Q&A at the end, which is always a highlight for me. Tevis, any particular place you want to begin, or should we just jump into the Robinhood news?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we just wait for a couple of people to roll in. Dude, we broke Burry. He started freaking out after I told him I wouldn't let him touch him with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, he was spamming. Like, I thought he was gonna get banned from X. That's like, he was spamming like random stuff.
Yeah, let me find that while you talk. It's crazy. He hasn't banned me yet. I'm actually really surprised. I had some posts that got a lot of engagement, and I appreciate the engagement. I mean, honestly, but yeah, we'll definitely get into that topic because, man, it's wild. Just the timeline that we're living in,
dude. Crazy pants. Honestly, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about Claude because I am deep into that rabbit hole right now.
Yeah.
And it's just my mind is I was on the phone with Steve because I showed Steve what I built in like a morning, just literally like didn't exist yesterday. And I'll show it to you on stream. I posted this thing. Maybe I'll just start with that because that's like a very like lackadaisical topic. We don't need to actually go into the real stuff. So I put this up, over 5,000 lines of code. I think it's like closer to 7,000 now since I put it up just today. And it's just me and Claude coding away. And like while I'm watching YouTube videos, while I'm doing other work, answering emails, whatever, it's just sweating over just my little side projects that I want to build. And I was telling Steve, I was like, dude, like, if I literally sat down in front of a Word document and I wrote gibberish, I don't know if I could get to 7,000 words in a whole day, like 7,000 sentences in a whole day. And this thing writes coherent. You want to show you? Okay, I'll show you what I built. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So it was 13F day today. And so I built my own little 13F website. So this is a heat map, and this is stocks held by super investors. Mind you, this is built today, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stack ranked them based on analyst consensus as well, what these guys own. And I have all the filings here. And then if I go into one of the filings, so let's say, I don't know, NVIDIA, I can see quarterly activity. So are they adding or reducing? I can see who is adding or reducing. I can see who holds it of these super investors. I can see their quarterly activity. So these are all the people that added NVIDIA in the last quarter, Roy.
Yeah.
Ray Dalio added NVIDIA, Ken Griffin, a whole bunch of people. I can see what the activity was over the past, couple of years.
I like that you have a new buy there too. That's cool.
I can see analyst ratings. I can see some sentiment data. I can see, dude, and like I'm telling you, so this is what's held across the board. This didn't exist yesterday.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. Everybody's from Apple.
Tevis messaged me today, and like Tuesdays are my crazy busy day, so I didn't have until late this afternoon a chance to even respond. But he's like, "You want to see what I'm building?" And like always, of course, but things like this. I mean, I could use that. So send me a link, buddy.
I can see Warren Buffett's portfolio. I don't know. I'm just gonna play around and like build other stuff and like look. So here it's a little bit broken. I gotta fix that.
I don't know if it works, if it's functional yet on this, but UNH, I'm kind of curious what happened there. Right? I don't have a position. I've just seen a lot of movement, and of course, there's been some big news there too related to redemption stuff. That, yeah, it's way above. But I'm just curious what other people are. Dalio
staying for UNH.
A lot of people got out. It looks like.
I'm kind of curious to see did Buffett do anything with UNH this quarter?
No, I didn't see anything on his.
Yeah. I gotta fix this. It's got to be a better format, but
yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, Dalio's adding a lot of stuff.
All right, you want to see?
Look at this. He's like adding everything.
Yeah, interesting.
But Dalio also holds a ton of stuff, 1,000 holdings, so it doesn't really mean that much.
Yeah.
I gotta like work at a filtering system.
Yeah, like super investors that hold like that many things, it's just noise to me. Versus like if somebody has a pretty concentrated portfolio, not as much.
Yeah, I gotta make this like this is public right now. You can access it if you have the URL. I should just buy some URL and like change the name and actually make it just free for people. But yeah, I'm gonna add more stuff along the way. Probably if I don't get bored within the next couple of days, I'll add. I don't know, whatever you guys want me to add. But yeah, vibe coding.
I think it was Ray Dalio what Franzi commented there at 607, telling us to buy gold, and he himself is buying equities. You can't always listen to what these guys are saying. 13Fs, they have to do it once a quarter, outside of a certain level of ownership that they have in the company. But they'll oftentimes say one thing and do completely the opposite. So yeah, and they can do that legally.
Ooh, can I really quickly just show you the other thing that I built?
Yeah.
And then we'll actually go into like actual news. Okay, so let me see. Let me do this and all right. So let me go to let me go to that. All right, you ready for this? So can you see? Okay, you can see this. Look at this. This is my clipping tool. It's like amazing, Roy. So I can go here and oh man, you can't see it open up.
Yeah, no pop-ups.
No pop-ups. Maybe if I do this. Yeah. All right, this is my clipping tool. So for my BM&R videos, I just save like URLs of things. And now I can go in, I can make my own little folders for like grouped tabs. And I save all of my tweets here that I want to cover in like my BM&R video, for example, or that I want to cover in like a Nebius video or a SOFI video. Or I mean, I can go even here and just be like, I want to make a, bootleg topics right here. And then after that, I can then go and I can click this open all, and it will open 39 different tabs in these different groups for me. So I don't have to go in the weekend and be like, oh, let me sort through all of my groups and all of my liked tweets, because I'm saving them in groups along the way. And this will make my actual like organization so much easier. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
It built this in 20 minutes. I was just like, what the heck? Where have I been living? Anyways.
You want to see the Burry crashing out on me? Just me specifically. So Eliano, who, full disclaimer, he's a friend of mine. He works at Palantir. He actually captured, these are just his replies to me. And I know it might be a little bit hard to see. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's not going to let me zoom in. But this is all Burry responding to me. Now, he did this to a lot of people, so don't just think it's me. But like he went just crazy. There's 55 seconds literally here. And I don't know, like the guy, maybe we can start there, I guess, first. So obviously, he's been short off and on Palantir for a little while. And classic short seller tactic, which Burry is definitely engaging in at this point. If you pay for his Substack and read his article, although there is some free stuff out there, and I've responded actually to the video on some of it, just how disingenuous it really is. He's doing the classic short seller approach, which is, yes, there is maybe some legitimate argument that he has on Palantir, which is just valuation and TA. It's like, dude, if that was his thesis, I would be like, yeah, I mean, like every single Palantir time that we talk, I'm like, yeah, it's expensive. It's actually not insanely expensive right now, but it's expensive. It has been insanely expensive, and that's why I've been very careful with my DCA. I've added like 5% to my position over the last 7 months, so it's the world's slowest DCA. But he has now gone to the point where he is just fundamentally misrepresenting so many things on Palantir, or he goes back to, like, this is a company that was, of course, private and just focused on the government side for 20 years. And so he'll go back to like 2014 and pull things out that are just, it's like, dude, this is a very different company. It's very different conditions. A lot has happened in the world, I would say, even outside of AI and what Palantir has done since 2014, and just absolutely cherry picking things, misrepresenting stuff. He talked about, like, one of the public arguments was day sales outstanding, which, you know, you can oftentimes use in the business world, especially with SaaS. And he's like, hey, it's a consultancy because look at this day sales outstanding. It's going up, and it's like at 60 whatever, and 60 days. And so he like cherry picks like two specific SaaS companies. They're like, look, it's a lot higher than these two. You can literally go on Fiscal AI, plug in like any SaaS, some like Monday.com, super, super low, which doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just is. And many of them, actually, especially the very large enterprise ones, are incredibly high, and some of those have increased. And nobody is calling like Snowflake, for instance, a consultancy. It's not. But the day sales outstanding has done the exact same thing. It's just like, dude, he's just distorting the truth. But like, this is exactly what most short sellers do, and that's why people hate them, is because they can just fabricate things and lie and misrepresent, even though there is the kernel of truth there. And of course, the worst thing about this, from my perspective, Tevis, is not so much that Palantir might go down as a result. Like, honestly, and people, I don't care if they believe me or not, I sold way too much Palantir on the write up. Covered calls got me. You know, I sold some deliberately. Covered calls got me, and my position remaining, it's like the fourth highest in my portfolio. I would love if Palantir fell to $50 a share. That's what he has on his TA chart. Love it. You would probably be a buyer before $50, my friend. I think a lot of people would. But if $50 a share, barring the end of the world as we know it or something like that, Palantir would be probably half my portfolio, if not more. So I'd love that, just because it's so easy. Even like right here, it's not cheap, and I'm not meaningfully adding. Like about 105 or so is a level that I'll start substantially increasing my DCA. But yeah, that said, when retail goes short on a company, now if it's pure shorts, don't do that. I mean, like, I'm not giving financial advice. Do what you want to do. If you want to go short on something, Robinhood just enabled it, by the way, this week for retail. It should be there as a tool, but man, you have unlimited downside, especially on credible companies that are growing insanely like Palantir. The stock can just rip and destroy you and your portfolio. Now, if you want to go negative on something, puts, I think, are a lot safer for retail because you have limited downside. You're going to lose the premium you have on the put at worst. You're not going to lose your house, your life, or anything like that. But he's pumping this stuff out at the time when even Burry himself has said, yeah, Palantir is oversold right now. It's like, dude, people are going to follow him in this trade, and maybe they'll make money. Like, whatever, fine. But there's a really good chance, especially when something is so oversold. It's like buying silver, like at 110 or whatever. It's like, guys, it's not sustainable. Nothing goes up in a straight line. Nothing goes down in a straight line. So yeah, that's the main reason why I've been focusing a lot on the Burry stuff, is just like, dude, retail can absolutely get hurt on this. And I'm seeing a lot of like Wall Street WSB guys, follow him or say that they're following him. I don't know for sure if they are or not. So any way that you're playing this, Tevis, or anything that stood out to you in all this? Amit and Burry were arguing back and forth. It was really interesting. So
saw that. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the desperation kind of shines through, that people can see. like you sort of lose that credibility with every post you put out because it just screams more and more desperation. And I mean, that's one thing. I think the reluctance on just making that particular Substack post public so that people could talk about it was another thing. Like it came off as shilling. Um,
It was.
I mean, from a Palantir perspective, and yeah, and then exactly, Michelle, like, and he comes back and deletes his comments. It's just like, you know, what it reminds me of like Kanye when he's having like an episode. He just like posts all these like weird things, and he comes back the next day and he's like, "What have I done?" And he just deletes them. So, um,
Or his whole account, honestly, like he's done that so many times too, which is funny. But
yeah, dude. I mean, look, I think with regards to the credibility of the Palantir position, I've said this with Steve before. Like, I think it's way easier to attack the valuation than it is to attack the fundamentals, especially in the last quarter that they put up. And so, I don't know. I think there is some type of ulterior motive, whether it comes to, like whether we realize what it is or not, whether it is a short interest or he's like, going to get margin called or something. I don't know, what the case may be there to lead to that level of desperation. I think, because like I get it, you think you see something that other people don't see. You want to shout it from the rooftops, but this is not like the right way to go about that,
Yeah.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
And like I don't know how I didn't get blocked yet. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. I tried in any of my dealings with people, whether I'd agree with them or not, to be polite and civil. Like that's how I do. So maybe that's a factor. But I mean, I saw like others do the same and they get blocked just because they're like, hey, this is incorrect here. Factually, it's wrong. And there's so many things. Like it was just like if you read the actual thing, a lot of what he does is anything that Palantir has done over the last really 3 years. He's like, yeah, but does it really count? Like, here's why that doesn't actually matter. And 70% year-over-year revenue, like, not really. And 139% net dollar retention, meh. It's just like you're thinking that what happened 14 years ago is more relevant to Palantir today than in the last 3 years. Are you? He's not stupid. So, yeah. Like case in point, like one of the things is this, which is actually ties into the Anthropic thing. I don't know if you saw the Pentagon threatening to cut off Anthropic with AI safeguards and such. And so like he's super focused on Palantir and NVIDIA too, which honestly, like out of the two, being short NVIDIA, I think is far more dangerous than being short on Palantir because you can't even say with NVIDIA, oh yeah, valuation. Anyway, he's like, okay, well, Palantir AIP can shift other workloads to other LLMs. What if the owners, Google, OpenAI, etc., also say like Anthropic that they want restrictions on war use of their LLMs? I mean, he really just doesn't understand how Palantir is positioned there at all, or really, it seems like the fact that LLMs are really a commodity, or they're heading that direction very rapidly. So it's just strange. I don't know. Like if this sort of thing is happening, like what will occur is like let's be in a pretend world where every single LLM that's out there right now, which is not going to happen, but like even XAI, it's like no, you can't use our LLMs for anything. At that point, the government will create their own. Problem solved.
Yeah. So look, I think we'll keep Anthropic as a separate topic that I want to get to because there's also news on the Anthropic side of things that came out, particularly with the OpenClaw stuff, which I think is really interesting. One last piece on the Burry thing. There was news that was coming out around Palantir, and maybe this is fake news, and I'd love for you to talk to it if it is, but like around Palantir being hacked or there was security vulnerabilities. Or, is this all FUD, Roy? Like, is there any credibility to any of this?
Yeah, let me show you the guy. So you guys can go to the source and don't just take my word for it. Although I am blocked now because I'm like, this is misinformation and absolutely not correct. Actually, I'm not even going to scroll through. His feed is just terrible. But yeah, Kim.com. He hates the United States, honestly. He hates the United States. He hates Israel. loves Russia. Hey, he can do him. That's fine. But there's a reason why he hates Palantir is because Palantir stands for all those things. So he spread the rumor with absolutely no facts at all that, hey, Palantir has been hacked and it's done all this nefarious stuff. And it's things that were rumored like 5-6 years ago. And people still are like, oh man, it must be true just because, it's selection bias, basically. Not selection bias, but yeah, regardless, there's zero evidence. There always is evidence. And in every single one of these, it's a fundamental misunderstanding what Palantir does. It's like Palantir has collected all this data surveillance stuff. It's like, okay, tell me how they actually collect it, because this, like, just to dumb down Palantir, this is not quite what Palantir is, but essentially Palantir is Microsoft Windows for businesses, like to run your whole business. How does Microsoft Windows go and spy on all of America outside of like that? I know that they can collect some data and stuff, but it's just like Palantir doesn't own the data. They don't house the data. They don't store the data. It's all the customers' data as well. They're just like, here's the tools so you can use this to better understand your data. It doesn't even give them the tool to be like, hey, here's the tool so that you can capture data that's your own and use it. It doesn't do any data capturing at all. It's just shocking.
Like, again, I'm just trying to I just genuinely don't know. Because I think on the commercial side of things, I'm totally with you. But I think on the government side of things, that's a piece where it's more hazy in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, if you look at what Palantir was founded out of, how it was founded, and what they've said the entire time through, again, this is a company with a 20-year track record. They've always been very for protecting civil liberties. They've never done data collection. They never will do data collection. Now, there are some organizations that use Palantir. They can't use Palantir to collect data because it doesn't have an apparatus for this. But like the CIA, the CIA does use Palantir software. ICE uses Palantir, but it's not using it to collect the data any more than Microsoft Windows. Instead, you have to bring the data to it or connect it to the data, and then it processes it, or it helps basically put it in an interface where you can make inferences out of it.
So let me see if I understand, Roy. It's a software that partners with all the major intelligence agencies in the world.
Not all.
Well, all the major ones.
Yeah,
is what I said, and
which is probably 5% of what they do, maybe less. But yeah, go on.
Right. But this is why I think it becomes something that some dude on Twitter can say this, and immediately it raises red flags, because you can start to see the logic chain essentially that leads you there, because they already partner with major intelligence agencies, and major intelligence agencies have gotten in trouble constantly for essentially spying on the public, and all the sort of Five Eyes nations share data with each other. And then Palantir's value proposition is you give it your data, and then it sort of processes and organizes and turns your data into insights. And now what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm hearing it wrong, but what I'm hearing is, in that process of digesting the data and turning the data into insights, it doesn't analyze the data and or save the data.
I mean, there is a Palantir cloud, but it's software cloud. It's your data is yours. It remains in your architecture, it remains on-prem if that's how you're doing it, on your cloud if that's how you're doing it. Palantir never gets the data. It's one of the things that people have criticized. This is a while ago. Palantir in the past, they're like, oh, Palantir doesn't really have a moat because they don't have the data. They can't do anything with it. Data is the new oil. Why would I invest in that company? That used to be a bear argument on Palantir. And the fact is, it's true. They don't own the data. They don't collect data. They just give you an apparatus to be able to understand your own data, which you own, you control. They don't do anything with it. So, yeah, it's wild.
For the duration of let's say I'm the CIA, right? For the duration of the contract that I have, that I'm using Palantir, I have a consistent flow of sending my data through and digesting the insights. And so therefore there is if I were to log in to Palantir, assuming I have the clearance, and Palantir would have the clearance as well, like I'm able to see the data for a contract that's ongoing.
Yeah, the way that Palantir, and this part's over my head. I've talked to people that have used it and also engineers as well. There, that one of the things that Palantir handles very well is the permissions aspect. That unless you actually have not just a clearance but permissions for that specific data, you cannot access it, and there's no way to do that. There was, and I'd see some people saying, "Oh, Palantir got hacked." There's absolutely zero evidence. Look at the people that basically have. Like Kim.com was saying not long ago, like that nuclear war is happening, inside information, all this stuff. Just the guy is a nutter, honestly. I'm not saying everything he's ever said is wrong. I don't frankly know him. I don't care to know him. I spent about 5 minutes on his feed, and I'm like, that's enough for a lifetime, dude. It's terrible. But look for yourself if you don't believe me. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence, and there's none. In 2021, there was a rumor that that Palantir was hacked. They have a partnership, again, with the FBI. About, I would say, less than 5% actually of what they do. Actually, commercial is so large. It's probably less than 2% of what they do is actually with intelligence agencies. But regardless, there was that claim. And really what happened was the equivalent of a dude leaving a Post-it note on his desk with his password right there. And people are like, aha, Palantir got hacked. It's like, dude, come on. It's not Palantir that got hacked. Some idiot left all their security information right there on a Post-it note that somebody else that shouldn't have had access to the data used on his own terminal. And it's like, okay, it has nothing to do with Palantir. Yeah, they've not been hacked. It's just, I think it feels like it's a concerted effort at this point, because you see multiple different little Palantir things. Like, I don't know if you saw today that they said that they're moving their headquarters from Denver, Colorado to Miami, Florida. And there's a candidate, I don't know if you saw this, for governor. Did you see his response?
Yeah, he was like, they're never going to be in Florida kind of thing.
Yeah, as governor, I will ban you from all government contracts. You are a threat to our civil liberties, which is really hilarious, because like they are actually created to protect and defend civil liberties. They were born out of 9/11, and they're like, okay, government needs to interconnect the data, but we also need to make sure that civil liberties are preserved. And there was a lot of proposals back then that would have led to the dramatic erosion of civil liberties. I'm a lowercase L libertarian. I spent hundreds of hours researching this company, not all up front, but enough up front, because I have libertarian friends. We were talking about Palantir, and I'd heard these things, and I'm like, well, let me see if there's any truth to it at all. I would not be in this company if I thought that they were actually eroding civil liberties. It's actually the opposite. But yeah.
I mean, so again, like coming back to the hack. This hack, or news of this hack, was fake. But I don't think, and maybe this is what you're saying and I'm misinterpreting, but I don't think what you're saying is that Palantir A can't be hacked, and B, if they are hacked, the hackers wouldn't find any data. Because what I heard was they have very strong permissioning and very strong protocols to prevent a hack, but it's still hackable. And if they were to be hacked, there could still be government data to leak from their platform.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And like, if hypothetically, let's say the organization and what they're doing and building was hacked, what people would possibly see is like the things that Palantir is working on. Like HiveMind is one of those projects that, it's been released now, but like if it was 6 months ago, they'd look at it and be like, oh, they're building something called HiveMind and it's doing and interconnecting these things. That's what they would see, not customer data. It's just, yeah. It's strange how it's still misunderstood, even now. I understand like it being misunderstood, like when it's 2020, 2021, but it's strange.
Yeah. Agreed. What's our next topic?
Let's talk really quickly. I think Robinhood actually came out with an interesting launch today. It's Ventures Fund. And so they talked about this previously. It was something that they'd mentioned as well in the earnings call that was coming. And so what this is basically a list of private equity opportunities. So Databricks, I'm sure that pretty much everybody here has heard of. Mercor, Ramp. There will be, as over the days, like this is essentially the roadshow for this fund. Airwallex, Aura, which a lot of people are familiar with the rings. Boom, and there's some others as well. Revolut was one of those that's also on here too. Let me see. I think Evan had a list. Yeah, Databricks, Revolut, Mercor, Airwallex, Boom, Supersonic, Aura, Ramp, and then some cash as well. Now, the thing with this fund to know is it's a closed fund. What this means is there's just not substantial liquidity in private equity. And so if you want out of your position immediately right away, when the market's open, if it's publicly traded, you can do that. Like there's liquidity there no matter what. Now, if you have a limit price that's wrong or off, it's not going to fill. But this is a case where even if you want to, it can take some time. So I don't think this is appropriate for everyone to invest in necessarily, but it does give a little bit more access towards private equity. There are other funds that do this as well, but does this type of offering interest you at all?
Interest me in what way? Like
would you at some point ever be interested in investing in private equity, whether it's this RVI fund, Robinhood Ventures One, or some other funds?
Yeah, I think I would be interested in investing in private equity. I think the much easier path to wealth building is through private equity because you just get way more arbitrage than public markets if you're accredited. I think investing in private equity through these mixed ETFs is kind of a mixed bag because you can't choose the weightings, you can't choose the holdings, you can't choose the management fees, and sometimes those are deal breakers. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like I don't hate the move from Robinhood. I think it's a good move. Databricks being the highest position was kind of interesting, especially because we own a Databricks competitor, and that is, of course, ClickHouse, which is owned in part by Nebius, about 1/4. So yeah, I don't like if I had access to venture, the venture program right now, I probably would not buy it personally, because I just looked at the composition and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I don't, I like some names in there, but not others, and so. But again, I think for many people, it's like beggars can't be choosers, because you're offering venture, like private equity type offerings to the public markets. And so it's like, take it or leave it, guys, because you guys are not accredited.
Yep, exactly. So the next thing that I kind of wanted to discuss is the Warren Buffett news. Specifically, went long on a name. Do you want to talk more on Robinhood?
Well, I would actually, I got a question for you. It's like, well, why would they release? And I'm just thinking of this in the moment, Roy. Like, this is not fully baked, but like, why would they release an offering of venture funds when they're working on tokenization and that's right around the corner, and they could just tokenize those offerings as opposed to throwing them in an ETF?
So tokenization, there's two parts to that. One is already tokenizing existing publicly traded funds or publicly traded stocks specifically. That helps them kind of launch in areas. It helps them actually launch faster. There's a lot of benefits. I guess I don't need to rehash that. The very exciting piece of the tokenization was tokenizing private equity. It gets challenging just because the illiquidity aspect, the whether you have ownership or voting rights, if you have a tokenized asset or not. There needs to be more regulatory clarity there. The other is we saw a lot of pushback when Robinhood announced that with SpaceX and also with OpenAI, where they're like, hey, we didn't give approval to this. And I don't think that legally they necessarily need to, as long as they actually have the shares that they're offering, which as Vlad and Robinhood clarified, this is like 6 months ago, they had people that are like, hey, I'm glad to part with my shares. You have access to this amount. But it's better if these private companies instead say, hey, we do want to go public at some point, but let's go ahead and get some access to retail, not just retail as well, but non-accredited investors specifically. And I think that there will be a move for that, just because private equity has actually been in a bear market outside of the top names, names like SpaceX, OpenAI, and Anthropic. And even there, you're seeing possibly the early signs of some fatigue from investors. We'll have to see how that plays out. Too early to really meaningfully say. So I think that's coming, but we're in a kind of a gray area right now where regulation isn't as clear as it really should be. There's pushback from private companies. Now, if there was a bunch of private companies that were coming to Vlad right now, I think even with the regulatory gray area, they'd say, okay, let's go for it. We're going to communicate clearly with the CFTC and others as well, and we're going to launch this thing. But I think that just hasn't happened yet. So I was actually a little bit surprised that there hasn't been more interest in that, at least from other companies. And that was actually one of my backup questions on the Robinhood earnings call, was asking about that. But I'm like, they haven't talked anything about that. There's a better question here. So this has been something, though, that they've always, at least it's my assessment, that I know that they've thought about this for a long while. I think it's something that's always been on the roadmap, that they're going to launch some of their own venture funds. And they do believe, like, democratizing finance, one of those things that Vlad is very much passionate about is giving access one way or another. This is just an easier vehicle. And honestly, I think this kind of offering is a lot safer for retail, even though it's a closed fund. You know, you can't have immediate liquidity. When you're investing in like 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 different companies that are all in that similar space, like some of these companies, like, they're private for a reason, and some of them might not ever become public. Some of them, 3 years from now, they may not exist. And so I don't know. I think it's a both and approach. I think they would have liked to do more with the tokenization of private equity, but just with where they're at with regulation and interest from the companies, not the right time.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to answer some more questions about tokenization soon. I mean, there's obviously clarity around the corner. And it's interesting, right? Because Vlad talked a little bit about tokenization, and they are pushing stuff on Ethereum as well. So we'll see. I mean, I guess one question that I would have, and this is not something we need to talk about right now, is like, what happens to all of these ETFs after they do move to tokenization? Like, who would? It's just an inferior product offering. Who would take that? And I'm sure there will be people that take it, but like, it's inversely proportionate with the adoption of tokenization. Because if everybody adopts tokenization across, let's say, the Robinhood user base, then nobody would really find any utility in these ETFs.
Yeah. I still think that there's some, and it depends, like, in the environment that you're at. I think that there might be some locales where you can offer tokenized investment, and it's no issue or problem. But I also do think that there's probably countries that'll be slow to allow or adopt that, and may even just outright ban it because it's new and it spooks them for whatever reason, even though it really shouldn't. But
yeah. Cool. What is our next topic, Roy?
13F filings. This is the time where, like you were showing earlier, Tevis, this is what I wanted to share.
Yeah,
I looked, and Fiscal AI has not updated it quite yet. They do great with the earnings stuff, and probably by tomorrow they'll have all those on Fiscal AI. But Amit had posted this. Actually, I saw several others as well. Warren Buffett ended up exiting a large chunk of Amazon. I believe it was all but 17%.
It's 77%.
77%. That's what
all
it was.
All but 23%.
And then creating a new position, which was the New York Times. Now, this doesn't mean that he took the exact amount out of what he sold from Amazon and put it to the New York Times. That's kind of like the headline grab, where that's an easy clickbait type of thing. So I guess first on Amazon, you're invested in Amazon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does it give you pause when everybody's answer, like with super investors, might be a little bit different? But when you see Warren Buffett, this is his last 13F filing as a head of Berkshire Hathaway. We might see some massive changes next quarter. But does it give you any pause when super investors like Buffett are meaningfully reducing their position?
No. And I'll tell you why. So I have it here. Funny enough, I built this tool on the right day. Thank you, Renee, for subscribing. And
Thank you, man.
yeah, it doesn't give me pause, and I'll show you exactly why it doesn't give me pause. Because if I hold on, first of all, let me show you guys. I also need to figure out what I'm going to name this thing if I do make it live for people. So yeah, so here you can see the New York Times, and then here you can see the Amazon. So, all right, let me show you why this doesn't give me pause. Because if I go on Amazon, for every Warren Buffett that is selling Amazon, there's a ton other super investors that are adding Amazon. Seth Klarman, for one. There's a whole bunch of people just accumulating more and more. And so you get conflicting signals. Like Warren Buffett gets a disproportionate mind share because he's been in the game for so long. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of super investors that are very successful, and they're buying it for the first time. Some of them, right? And so I look at the volume across the board on aggregate, and it shows that there's an increase in the accumulation of Amazon from these super investors over the last 4 quarters versus a decrease. I can't help that the decrease is from the most legendary investor that ever lived in his last quarter. Like that kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, like a lot of almost equally large investors by reputation, like Druckenmiller, Dalio, Ken Griffin, Seth Klarman, they're all adding Amazon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, it depends on who you want to follow and what signal you want to draw. But I think with that kind of stuff, because there's so many conflicting wires, it's all noise at the end of the day.
Yeah, and likewise, like I think too much is read into Warren Buffett sometimes, and other super investors. Like, oh, this guy's in it. I mean, like we've seen many of these hold a whole bunch of different types of companies, and in particular Berkshire Hathaway. Well, I guess let me ask you this, and I'll give you my answer first. Do you think that Berkshire Hathaway looks very different in its holdings a year from now? I think that there's a huge cash position.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a meaningful shift. Now, they have bought a few more modern tech type companies. It's not all just Kraft Heinz.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we're going to see a lot more of that. But I could be absolutely wrong. Greg Abbott is taking over. So I've not studied up on him. I don't know his mindset like really well, other than just a few things that he spoke about. But but the Amazon, like I don't know. Even like this doesn't mean that he's bearish on Amazon. He might just be freeing up cash. He still has, 23% of his position too. So
yeah, and like if you looked at Buffett over the past couple of quarters, like he's been reducing Apple, he's been reducing Amazon, he's been reducing like a lot of these tech names, and he's been adding freaking Chevron and Domino's Pizza and Sirius XM. Like those are the main things, and so it's just like you could also chalk it up to a macro strategy of just going more defensive in general. I mean, you could try to theorize around like, oh, maybe he didn't like the CapEx or whatever. But like, again, I don't think that that's something that, he'll cut a position so drastically like that on one piece of news. Because he's been showing a trend of several quarters now of selling off certain sectors and buying other sectors. And I do think that, now that Buffett is fully retired, that next year and next 2 years, the portfolio will look different. It's going to have the same principles, but it's going to have some new ideas. And a lot of that is going to be tech heavy, because whether we like to admit it or not, like as much as we want to buy Crocs, like we do live in a world that's increasingly influenced by AI and by these sort of moving tides. And I mean, Buffett was one of the latest to the game in Apple in 2016, I think it was. And he still made a ton of money on it, right? And so I do think that we are in the early innings, and there's some super investors that could be saying, hey, Amazon, 200 billion CapEx, they're going to smoke their competition. They're super cheap right now. I want to buy them. And there's also some that says, hey, like there's no gun to my head that says I need to pick a winner when we're in like the second inning.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, like, I don't think this is the reason why you reduce Amazon, but the equity raise specific towards CapEx, that for them in Oracle, like that was much less well received by investors, and you can see it in the stock price than like the capex spend of who we're going to talk about next, Meta, for instance. But yeah, Amazon, like I don't think it's bearish necessarily. I think Amazon's fine. I think it's good. I don't see it I think that there's more pressing opportunities out there. Everything in my portfolio I see that way, and there's a bunch of others that are not my portfolio that I see that way. And it's frustrating because I've wanted a position in Amazon since 2022, but there's always something else. It's like, oh, but this is a great opportunity here. Now, I've not always been right, but it's definitely outperformed my portfolio over Amazon.
I mean, it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle, a vicious cycle after some point, right? Because it's like Amazon's always disrespected by the market, and as a result of it always being disrespected by the market, you always think there's time for you to get in. And I mean, like, if this was 2023, Ron, and 2023, Travis, like, we would be saying the same shit about Google. Like, Google, I don't want to buy Google. And then what do you know? Google hits all-time highs, and we both are FOMOing a little bit because we're like, oh, damn, like, we saw it, we just chose not to buy it, which is arguably even worse than not seeing it at all, right? And so for Amazon, it's like you could see it because how many episodes have we said now Amazon is super cheap? But all we need is for Amazon to go straight to 300 on some amazing news and everybody to be like, oh my God, is Amazon the new buy? Because it's just human psychology at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Now, beyond Amazon, adding New York Times, that got a lot of people's attention. I think a lot of people don't realize New York Times has a stock. It's a publicly traded company. Is this just Warren Buffett being like old and outdated and just buying things that he understands well before he hands over the reins to Greg Abbott? Or is there something here?
I don't know. Is it just some like Jeff Bezos arbitrage or something? Like, because Bezos owns New York Times, doesn't he?
He owns a chunk of it.
I'm pretty sure he owns like the full thing. No?
Does he? I mean, he's rich enough to. So, but no, it's a publicly traded stock. It couldn't be.
Oh, he might be like majority. Oh, yeah, Washington Post. Yeah, you guys are right.
That's right. Yeah. So the thing with New York Times, I don't feel like this is the reason, or if it is, I don't think Warren Buffett was the one that actually pulled the trigger, even though a lot of people are like, oh, it definitely is him because New York Times and, whatever. And we'll probably never know. What's happening with AI is really interesting, especially the agentic AI and needing to scrape for data. We can see it's kind of like a walled garden effect that's happening around things like X to a lesser extent, Reddit for sure, Pinterest, social media platforms, Meta. And then you also have a lot of content pages or content machines like the New York Times, which are behind a paywall and have taken steps. Actually, a lot of these publishers through Cloudflare have worked with them to basically block these type of agents that are actually trying to comb them for data to feed into the output of their LLMs. So I'm kind of thinking there's a chance that this was done by somebody at Berkshire Hathaway who's like, hey, New York Times is a trusted source of truth, and they're looking at a way to be able to offer their huge wealth of knowledge, not just what they're publishing now, but think about all the stuff that they've written over the past 100+ years. It's a wealth of information. And making that have access, paid access, mind you, maybe through microtransactions, some sort of partnership deal or what have you, with some of these LLMs. That could make it, instead of just a like, what in the world is he doing type of play, to it's interesting. Now, it's not investment worthy for me. That's pure speculation. But I think that there might be something here more than meets the eye, more than just like a Kraft Heinz or let's buy another insurance company like Chubb type of play.
I mean, I think we might be reading into it.
It could be.
He loves boomer shit, man. Like, and not only that, but so I just asked Gemini, like, hey, like, what are some of the reasons Buffett might buy New York Times? And it said, strong free cash flow and buybacks, subscription bundle, a reliable cash flow relied on advertising and on subscriptions, It has this monopoly because it's paywalled, essentially, saying it's successfully transitioned into the only widely purchased national newspaper brand in the US. And then the fourth thing it said, Roy, which is kind of interesting, said it could just be a symbolic bookend to his career because he has a deep sentimental and professional history with newspapers. He made his fortune investing in the Washington Post in the 70s. He owned the Buffalo News for a decade. And in 2020, he sold his newspaper empire, BH Media, saying the business model was, quote, toast. But the exception is he always maintained publicly that the New York Times would be one of the few survivors because it had the scale to build a digital wall. Buying it in his final quarter is a validation of that prediction. So it could be some state. I mean, I don't know if I would make a 5 million share purchase just as a statement, but my point is like we don't know.
Yeah. Jay-Z once said, I think Buffett might buy the entire New York Times. Well, he won't because he's out after this quarter. But I mean, Berkshire Hathaway has a cash, and they've bought whole businesses before. I'm sure that they'll do it again. It'll be interesting to see what they look like after this, and if they're increasing that position or not. But I don't think selling out of Amazon was necessarily wise. I think Amazon actually fits their portfolio really well. But New York Times, there might be a little something there. It's actually up 50% over the past year. I think it's more than just I want to support journalism or something like that. But maybe. I mean, you could always give an endowment or a gift or something, if you wanted to do that. But. All right. Let's then look at NVIDIA and Meta. So large cap I actually thought that this year was going to be the year of large cap tech again, like 2023. And yet it's actually been the opposite. A lot of that has been pushed on CapEx expenditures and questions on ROI. And then for NVIDIA specifically, it's kind of funny because you'll have this narrative out there where it's like self-contradictory, and it's not always the same people saying it. But on one hand, you're like, oh, the CapEx spend is way overdone. All these businesses need to cut back, but they're not going to. And so I'm bearish on the business. And then you have NVIDIA, who apparently all their revenue is going to dry up. Not really, but the revenue growth will fall off a cliff in a year or two. This was an announcement that happened after hours. NVIDIA and Meta partnership. They announced a major expansion. They already were partners. Meta had also flirted with AMD too, but specifically this was to accelerate Meta's long-term AI roadmap and support its long-term AI infrastructure roadmap. Meta is deploying millions of NVIDIA Blackwell and Rubin GPUs to power hyperscale data centers optimized for training and inference. And so, NVIDIA stock did go up about 1% after hours. We'll have to see how it performs tomorrow. It's not performed well. You have any thoughts on this partnership, Tevis? Does this really help dispel that thesis either direction of like way too much CapEx spend or their revenue is going to fall off a cliff for NVIDIA?
No, I don't think so. I'm bullish on both. So when I saw both moving up after hours, I was happy about it. Look, I don't think Meta's been mincing their words about what their ambitions are in AI, especially with, I don't know if you saw this other news, Roy, but it might be semi-related, like Manus, their $2 billion acquisition, they're now having it essentially build agents in WhatsApp, which is very similar to what OpenClaw is doing. And so, I tweeted yesterday, I said, look, I think in 6 months, I basically just repeated what Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, said. He didn't, because he's going to OpenAI now. That was the news over the weekend. But I basically said, look, I don't think OpenClaw is going to even be a thing in 6 months from now because every one of the big players will have built it in-house. And so in order for you to do that, to go from this prompt-based back and forth with your LLM to now having a complete agentic system where you're building a team, and I'm freaking writing 7,000 lines of code literally while I'm on this podcast chilling, I think you're going to need a whole lot of compute. You do need millions of Blackwells, you need Rubins, you need data centers to be able to do this. Meta broke ground on their most recent data center in Indiana, I believe it is. So they're very serious about their ambitions there, and I think they have the ecosystem where they can actually be successful. Because all of a sudden, if Manus deploys something that's comparable to OpenClaw and it's on WhatsApp, and they choose to block OpenClaw on WhatsApp, then like it's it reminds me so much of this Teams versus Slack discussion. Like Slack will come out as a proprietary superior product offering, and it's going to reach this fast adoption. OpenClaw, for example, had the fastest like parabolic rise out there in terms of the GitHub stars. And then you're going to say, these big guys are going to have the deepest war chests and resources and say, that's a cool idea. Let's implement that. Let's throw that into our ecosystem. And all of a sudden, it's going to go the way of Slack, where it's like Teams is going to have an even bigger parabolic rise because they can bundle it into their other offerings because they have the network. And ultimately, I think this is why the Magnificent Seven stocks or the hyperscalers or whatever you want to call them, like the biggest companies in the world, are going to win because they have the ecosystem in order to win. It allows them the network to have a distribution advantage over anybody who starts from scratch.
Yeah. Not only that, but like with something like Meta, you can collect data, which you can use to inform and also train your own LLMs. Now, they've underachieved what I thought that they would do. So far, I'm not invested in them. I never will invest in Meta, no matter how big I think the opportunity might be. But for me, like, undoubtedly, like neither of us are bearish Meta or NVIDIA. But I think for Meta, this is a bigger deal probably for Meta than NVIDIA specifically. NVIDIA is just so huge and the revenue is so ridiculously huge. It's nice, but there's a reason why it's only up 1%. And Meta, let's see where it's at right now. Meta is up 4%. No, excuse me, that's 0.63, $4. So actually less than NVIDIA was, although it looks like it was up about the same, just a little bit afterwards. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like, I don't think that Meta will continue to underachieve, but honestly, like their last iteration of Lawman was not that good at all. We'll have to see if they can actually catch up. They've poached quite a few top minds that are in AI. They have the right tech. They have the right tech stack. They have the right opportunity as far as the social media stuff and distribution too. But I don't know. But yeah, NVIDIA themselves, I don't think that there's anything that Jensen or Team NVIDIA can do to dispel the, hey, your revenue acceleration is going to fall off a cliff in 2 years. That's pretty much has to come. Like, he's already made the case why that wouldn't be. He's talked about this incessantly. You look at the actual estimates, which are pretty conservative on NVIDIA. They don't include any China revenue. They don't really include much of anything. But I think it'll just take time to play out. In the meantime, NVIDIA, for me, it's an easy add. I've not added in a little while. It's been, I think, over a month. But it's one of those things where I need to circle back to, I think, while it's here. It could be here for a while. Sometimes that happens with stocks, even when they are exploding in terms of revenue. I mean, we're seeing that with SOFI right now. It's gotten beat up terribly despite, like, it's a good thing they didn't miss earnings or dilute. Can you imagine if they did?
Yeah. I mean, they definitely wouldn't be eligible for the S&P 500. Let's put it that way. And
it's getting close, man.
What's that?
It's getting close. SOFI, I thought was probably close to a coin flip of being in the S&P 500. Right now, the market cap is $24.72 billion. Now, if there's some bad macro days, it's a higher beta stock. We may see it fall into ineligibility, even if it's just for a little while. Which, I mean, it's not a big deal. We're not banking like the bull thesis on them entering the S&P 500. Although a very retail-oriented stock like SoFi usually does pretty well. They're in a lot of the other smaller funds, though, so it's not going to have perhaps quite the impact that some people suppose. It's still a very good thing. But do you think they get in this quarter?
In March?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. Let's check on that Polymarket, actually.
They do have that. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were at one point a coin flip, and I'm like, yeah, it feels a little bit. At that point, it felt like maybe a 40% chance in my mind, like 100% chance this year. But it'll be curious to see what actually happens.
So this is what Polymarket says. SoFi is currently sitting at second place with a 41% chance likelihood.
That feels about right.
And that's been kind of going up-ish, but yeah.
Yeah, the market cap's the issue. The S&P 500
9% on February 10th, and just this week, over the last 7 days, has gone down to 41%. And Vertiv has definitely taken the lead over the past week per Polymarket, and I think that might be because of the market cap requirement.
Yeah, well, and Vertiv, like, they should have been in there like last year. So it was one of those that was, when I do my predictions, I don't do them every quarter. Vertiv was usually at or near the top of the list to be added, and then they wouldn't get added. App 11 previously, was that, and Robinhood, but they got added as well. So, I see DS Greg said, Tim Sweeney said the market cap isn't necessarily a showstopper. As long as they are still eligible. They have to be eligible. They will not be inducted if they're not. They absolutely will not be. But I think it was Q2 last year, might have been Q1, but it was in the first half last year when they inducted a bunch of companies that were barely eligible in terms of their market cap. So when we saw Williams Sonoma, TXO, there was an energy company, I don't remember the name of it. All of them were like in the 20s of billions. And some of them were like just 5%, I think, above the market cap limit. So yeah, that it can be close as long as they're eligible. I think, it's close to a coin flip. We'll just have to see though. The stock has been selling off. You've been buying any more SoFi?
No, man. I have so much SoFi already. It's like I can't. No, I have not been buying any more SoFi.
Yeah.
It's irresponsible for me to buy more SoFi at this point.
Yeah, I added.
Really, I would. Yeah.
No. I've added twice through cash secure puts, and I'm very bullish on this, but it's tough when you get above a certain allocation. Like, it's already technically over my own personal limits of what I allow positions like SoFi to grow into as far as allocation. But I'm like, okay, I'll put this in the swing bucket, which means I got to sell at some point in the future. But that's the only way I could justify it in my mind, even though I'm like, oh, dude, the valuation is stupid. The market's treating this company. I don't know why it's treating it this way. Like, we even saw it like today. Payments did quite well. SoFi did not. I know it's not a payment company. And when banks are rising up, it's like, but it's not a bank company. We're going to sell it off. Now, Tevis, ironically, now SoFi is seen as a tech company by the market in the time when tech is going like this. It's like, can we not get a win?
Yeah, it's fine, man. Like, I think the market can take it down to $4 again for all I care. Like, I'm not going to be retiring tomorrow, and I'll sure as hell feel broke, way more broke than I currently do. But ultimately, I'll just start to take out loans, start to max out my margins, start to do like foolish stuff, because I know the company's executing, and I know I have a monthly cash flow that can sort of cover, any payments or commitments I might have. And so I would just go way heavier. And like, I know that's a very aggressive stance to take, but the point is like, I can sleep easy at night knowing that it's a company that the thesis is not broken. The management team is one that I trust. They're not doing stupid shit like HIMS is doing. And like, the company's going to do more. They're going to compound on their accelerated growth.
Is there you're good friends with Anthony Noto, but seriously, guys, like, if you were not aware of this, Tevis and Tanner both had the opportunity to interview Anthony Noto. Go to Tevis's channel. It's worth watching the whole thing. When do you think Noto, because we did see an insider buy, it wasn't a huge one, but it wasn't, nothing a few weeks ago. When do you think Noto buys again, if you had to guess? And I'm going to make you guess. You can't say, I don't know.
Well, after March 1st, right, for tax reasons. He said he can't buy before March 1st. After March 1st, I think that he would make a buy if he doesn't have any material non-public information. He basically said that. He's like, hey, I have tax implications until March 1st. And then, like, if you see me not buying after March 1st and the stock is depressed, then I might have some material non-public information. Otherwise, I'm going to buy. And it's like, it's very clear, cut and dry.
Dude, that was so bullish, and I'm so glad that he actually answered that as directly as he did, because it's basically like, hey, either we have something really exciting that's not public yet, and I can't buy, or I'm going to buy. It's not quite. It wasn't, but it's about as close as you can get to saying that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a buy now. So now it may not happen on the first. He may wait a little bit. Like, who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised. I'd actually say it's better than 50% chance that we see insider buy from Anthony Noto. And honestly, insider sells, they never really bother me unless like they're a big shift and there's questions on the company, that there's something sketchy behind it. But like 99.9% of the time, there's a lot of reasons to sell. And as far as insider buys, there's really just one reason to buy Tevis. You know what that is?
You think it's going to go up?
Yeah, make money. So you know the company better than anybody. You're the CEO. If you're buying, dude, that was one of those things that I think Noto had made a couple of purchases prior to me getting in to SoFi initially at like 450. But him as an insider buy, I'm like, dude, I think he's a great CEO anyway. I think it's a very good company, and he's buying the stock. I needed this, and so that was the first position that I bought with some of the Palantir gains that I had on my leaps. They were up like over 1,000%. I'm like, okay, I need to diversify some. What do I buy? SoFi. And then Robinhood next. So those worked out pretty well. All right. So,
and the cool thing is, like, it's bullish for two reasons. One is that they're putting their own money behind the stock, and that's like the first layer that most people just find it bullish for, and it is. The second layer is they're literally betting on themselves because they're the ones who are driving the ship or the plane, whatever, and they're the ones who can influence the trajectory of the business. And so if Anthony Noto is putting his entire net worth in SoFi, it's like, wow, he must be really confident in SoFi. No. He's really confident in his own ability to accelerate SoFi beyond what the market expects of it. And that's like, dude, I want to back people that back themselves, you know?
Yeah. I think that's an easy thing to do. Yeah, honestly, like, I'm sure. I wonder if there's a fund out there that has already done this, but that just maybe it's a more of an active managed fund where you're just following insider buys, holding for a set amount of time, having whatever. I'm curious what the performance would look like. That's why I'm wondering. Not that I would invest in that. So,
I mean, there's like a ETF for CEOs who bench, so I'm sure there exists somewhere. It's a big world out there.
Anything else that you want to cover before we jump into Q&A, Tevis?
Did you what did you make of this whole Anthropic OpenClaw situation? Did you read up on it at all, or?
Yeah, because it didn't happen today. So, man, Anthropic really dropped the ball like twice this week. So one was, of course, in the interview with, is it Dario or Dario? The CEO. Him basically like, hey, you want our LLM to be used in these ways. I think that was a big misstep, especially like related to both Claude and Palantir were involved in what happened with the U.S. going into Venezuela after Maduro. Like, that's verified now. It was speculated on previously, and it's been confirmed. Beyond that, the guy at Cloudflare that built OpenClaw initially, and they had to rename it a number of times. He was a zealous proponent for Anthropic. He was free advertising. This app blew up, and it's named basically in honor of the LLM he loved the most, which is Claude. Now, I understand if they wanted to, like, hey, can you just tweak the name just a little bit so they're not confused that it's our Claude? I don't think they should have done that, though. Instead, they basically file a cease and desist and say, hey, you're trying to steal our intellectual property. You're infringing on our rights. Stop. And beyond that, like, they could have also done what ended up happening is like reach out and be like, hey, you're a zealous fan. You built this tool. How do we get you to come on board?
Yeah.
That, like, it's a layup, and they just absolutely flubbed it. So I don't know. I was kind of astonished, but yeah, Claude bot. I have seen, by some developers, and I'm not a coder, that are like, well, there's security concerns here and this. Obviously, if you give something that somebody programmed over a very short amount of time access to everything, there's things that probably need to be tweaked to actually make it a little bit more secure. Maybe there'll always be some vulnerabilities when you give it that kind of access. But regardless, like, huge misstep. Like, were you shocked?
Yeah, he was great on Lexus Pod, by the way, Jesse.
I've not seen that. Was there something in that really...
Well, this was before the OpenAI news dropped, and Lex asked him, he's like, hey, like, both Meta have reached out and OpenAI have reached out. Have you made a decision? He's like, well, the deal's not finalized, so I don't think I should say. But he's like, I have a tremendous respect for Sam, and Sam and I have been talking a lot. He's been helping a lot, and he just wants to keep it open source, and he just wants it to like thrive. And so like that's everybody online was like, okay, he's going to sign with OpenAI, and he ended up like the next day announcing that. And honestly, man, I hold Amazon. I use Claude code like every day. I think it's like I'm using Claude, even the chat, more than I'm using Gemini at this point because it's just better. And so I'm bullish on the product and I'm bullish on the company's trajectory for growth. They're not even a year old, by the way. They posted today. They're like, hey, we're approaching our 1-year birthday. So Claude Code.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, Anthropic's been around a little bit longer. So
no. And so anyways, I'm bullish on them. And on one hand, I'm like, God damn it, like you guys should have picked this guy up, especially because one of the topics that was being discussed like holistically was, when are we going to get to a point where you have a solopreneur create $1 billion business? And this guy did it in less than 90 days.
Yeah.
84 days from inception to getting the job and like selling it basically to OpenAI. And it's $1 billion, like changing your entire life. I mean, he was already incredibly rich and he didn't need any of this. He just did it for fun. But
it's a funny thing.
That's like, so there's a layer that's like the macro is such that you can take control of your own life or destiny or whatever you want to call it if you can harness these tools. Like it's the easiest time to build stuff yourself. And I'm like literally, proof of that, as I showed you guys at the beginning of the stream. So on one hand, I'm like bullish on that fact. On the other hand, so like great, congrats to this guy and his story, and it's fantastic. I started following him on X. He has some great stuff to say. Cool. On the other hand, I'm like, Anthropic really freaking fumbled, and that makes me more annoyed than anything else because they've proven to be superior in their execution ability. So why did they have to go and fumble this? And then on the third hand, I'm like, well, freaking OpenAI, man. Like, just when you thought they're out, they sort of climb back in. And now you have Codex, which people are saying is even better than Claude Code. And of course, now they're going to implement, some version of OpenClaw within the OpenAI ecosystem. But I almost, like, as much as I hate it, I don't hate it because of that circular, all the investments into OpenAI. Like, if OpenAI falls, I think the rest of the market just falls. And so I'm like, okay, well, if this is going to be the thing that keeps OpenAI in the race, unfortunately, so many different big names have already made their bets on OpenAI. And like we as an entire retail investment community can't really afford for OpenAI to fall. And so while I don't want them to be the superior product offering, just because I think others have got there in more creative ways and have superior product positioning, I'm like, if I would rather him go to OpenAI than go to Nobredo.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I started saying maybe a little bit of before a year ago, probably about right, early 2025, that out of private equity companies, like Anthropic was the one that I was most interested in. There's a couple others that I'm interested in too, but they've confirmed that. And then this happens, and I'm not invested in them. I'm not an accredited investor, but it makes me less bullish on Anthropic because,
Yeah.
dude, like, what are they doing? It's just crazy. Great product, great engineers. They've had absolutely the right vision with how they've been deploying for the longest time, but I don't know that they have business sense. And that is an incredibly important thing for a company.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said earlier, Roy, I think it's all going to be redundant in 6 months because the idea is a good one. And it's like, steal like an artist out there. Everybody's going to be stealing everybody's idea. And like, it doesn't matter that you're the first one there because everyone has, like, you're going to reach this singularity, so to speak, in terms of a product offering where everybody's LLM looks slightly the same, like they all rhyme in terms of what their functionality is. Because if they didn't rhyme, they wouldn't be competitive in the market. And there's going to be another Peter Steinberger around that's going to come out and release another thing. And I hope that's a lesson for these large organizations. Like, hey, scoop that other person up. But I do think, and my CEO and I were having this debate the other day. Like, I was like, dude, because he was saying it's like the easiest time to arbitrage effort and make money, but he's thinking of it from an enterprise perspective. And I was like, dude, this is going to be the biggest brain drain that you have from large corps because you've unshackled all of these people who have ideas that they've been sitting on for the last decade to become solopreneurs with relatively zero overhead to now build something in a week.
Yeah. And yeah, previously they were constrained by time. Now you got time.
Not only time, but like more importantly, constrained by the lack of ability.
Yeah.
If you asked me to debug the thing that I'm building, I couldn't do that for you. Because it's just like, I'm technical enough from an architecture perspective because I've been working in tech for the last 8 years, but I wouldn't say I'm technical enough from a tactical perspective where I can like strip through lines of code. And it's not only Python, it's like different languages now. That I can like, deep, but like, I mean, Dario himself said it. He's like, in 6 to 12 months, they're fully gonna, like, Claude Code is going to fully replace software engineers in terms of the level of expertise, and so that's definitely something to be bullish about.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, man.
Q&A time?
Sure. Yeah. Now you just need to be creative, and humans lack imagination. That cannot be taught. Agree, 1000%. I made a post a couple days ago that said the future is product managers, and like people were disagreeing with that because designers say the future is designers, engineers say the future is engineers, and like I genuinely, and like I'm biased because I'm a product manager, but I think it's product managers because I know how to feed this thing information in such a way that, like, because I do it to developers on a regular basis. I'm like, hey, this is what I need built. This is the acceptance criteria. This is, exactly the value proposition. This is how you should build it. This is, what all the parameters are. Anyways, I'm rambling, but all right, you guys can ask questions. We're light on questions tonight, so ask away, and then I'll start throwing them up.
All right.
Based on Tevis's question, is the tokenizing taking longer than Robinhood thought? Do they know something about the Clarity Act?
You can actually look on chain specifically to see tokenization and tokenization adoption. It is, I don't know about what they thought. I would guess probably it is a little bit slower adoption than what I thought. Dune and also Artemis have some tools that you can make it actually easier to look on chain. Specifically, you're looking on, it just fled out of my mind, Arbitrum. It's a layer 2 on Ethereum. And again, the Clarity Act, I believe, doesn't really have much on tokenization specifically. The thing that's actually holding up the Clarity Act is whether or not non-bank entities can offer yield on stablecoins, which there's a couple other things too, but like that's a big deal. So.
Who is picking the companies in Robinhood's fund? I'm sure it's not Vlad. I mean, it's like their chief investment officer, whoever that is.
Stephen Quirk or Steph Guild would be probably both, I would guess. Could be some others too. I'm sure that there is. And if you guys are from Robinhood watching, sorry if I forgot your name.
Which sheep are able to cross the AI river? ServiceNow, Salesforce, Duolingo, Adobe, Workday, SPGI, SP Global. I don't know what that is. MCO.
That's the S&P 500 company.
Yeah. Moody's. Is that Moody's? No. What's MCO?
I don't know MCO.
Intuit or ADP?
Moody's. It is Moody's. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Steve asked me this morning, by the way. He saw the website and he's like, wait, how long did you build this? And I was like, this morning. And he's like, wait, can you add sentiment? I was like, hold on, wait 15 minutes. And like while I was on the call with him, I added it. And he's like, yeah, dude, is ServiceNow done? And I'm like, no, I don't think it's done, because the delta between a random dude being able to leverage AI to build this versus an average Joe on the street. If I just walk down the street and I pick somebody at random, like they're still going to need Salesforce. They're still going to need ServiceNow. They're still going to need Adobe. Like these are staples. I think it's going to be on a downward trajectory, but if you've ever studied any laggards, they take a long, long, long time to die. And there's still a off chance that they're also going to innovate as well.
Yeah, I don't know about like really being seen as an AI name. I do like ServiceNow out of these. I think CRM, no. Intuit, I mean, like you're not going to vibe code. Like you can vibe code an interface, but all the business logic, all the legal parameters that are in there, that took a long time to build. Even with vibe coding, it takes a long time. You have to make sure everything is on the up and up. Workday, probably the same sort of idea. Adobe maybe could cross the AI river, but I think they actually really have to at some point. They're not disappearing overnight, but yeah, SPGI, that's pretty funny because go to their website. Have you ever gone to their website before, Tevis?
No.
We're not going to do it here, but it's the most like maybe late 90s, early 2000s type of business website that there is. It barely functions. It's probably all on-prem with some like 10-year-old server rack. And like they don't even know how to do like basic communication as far as we added these. They'll do a press release, but if they don't add any, like there's no press release or anything, it's always late. Things break on it just because it's just like they don't handle tech at all. So no, that they're less likely to cross the AI river than Apple at this point.
You know what my favorite website is, Roy? I'll give you a hint. It's a company that's over $1 trillion. And this is actually their website right now. BerkshireHathaway.com.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a 12-year-old did it for like their school project.
Yeah. They need to get Wix there. Like if they don't want to just even handle some of the other tools, just go with Wix. Get your website built.
Dude, this is literally their website. Like,
oh, that's so bad, dude. Yeah, okay. They didn't buy New York Times for the AI play. So never mind.
You mean Buffett made it? Yeah. Copyright 1978 to 2020. They haven't even fucking updated the copyright to 2026.
Oh, goodness, guys.
$1 trillion company, man. Yeah, that's called too rich to care.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Berkshire should have been on that list, Austin. All right, what company do you think will either replace a Mag 7 or Fab 5 company? Is there even one? I have one in mind, but here's your thoughts.
So I think, as far as parameters, like this is a list by market cap of companies in the S&P 500. Doesn't have to be the S&P 500, but I mean, it will be. I think it also needs to be a tech company. I don't think Walmart, for instance, even though it did hit the $1 trillion market cap, congrats to shareholders, it's not a Mag 7 stock. I think that we're looking at growth, not just in terms of share price. Walmart, I mean, they've kind of done a bit of an Amazon pivot, but I just don't see it. Same with Eli Lilly, same with JP Morgan Chase, Visa, fine businesses, ExxonMobil. So it's got to be tech. It's got to probably be at this point of some significant size And so I think that there's really three, and I'm going to just pick one of the three. Possibly Micron, which is a triopoly in what they offer, but it's hardware. I think it's hard to just purely do that. NVIDIA was able to like really capture the momentum by doing a lot more than just hardware through the data center play. But they're still mostly hardware, so it can be done. I think that Broadcom is probably what you're going to say, and I'll leave the rationale for you then. And then the one that I think legit could is, and you can probably predict it, Tevis.
ASML.
Palantir.
Oh no, I wouldn't have predicted that.
Palantir is, I think, one of the strongest companies in the world, and they have just an insane moat. Market cap is still probably ahead of where it should be, but it's grown rapidly for a reason. This right here was, they actually came out with their 10K. I'm not going to pull it up here because it'll take a little while, but this was my favorite part on it. There's a section in sector and industry operating systems, and I'm just going to read you the quote. It's pretty cool. They've been doing this for a while, by the way. This is not something new. This is the first time that I remember them actively stating it in this full form. So in addition to supporting individual institutions, our platforms have become central operating systems for entire industries and sectors. We're developing industry operating systems to help companies and government agencies manage operations across their entire organizations. These operating systems allow our software to be distributed at scale to institutions within given industries. We have developed and are continuing to develop partnerships in industries such as airline, that's Skywise, space, of course, with the Voyager, shipbuilding, that's HP Hyundai, insurance, AIG, and many others. There's like a bunch. Healthcare, Tampa, I forgot the full name, and the Cleveland Clinic as well are the big ones there. But HCA Healthcare also is involved, and actually a number of others. That one's the closest to becoming the next Skywise, by the way. Telecoms, automotive, security, and risk management, and of course government, which we anticipate will have a significant impact on our business moving forward. And if this was 2023, it'd be like, hey, that's a great ambition. I hope it works out. Here, is this going to happen in every single one of these spaces and industries? No, but it already is happening in more than just one, Tevis. So between how that company is run, how essential it's becoming with a lot of these businesses, we're seeing with the net dollar retention. Of course, they have the government side as well. And the thing with Palantir is they're also not just like sitting on their laurels saying, hey, mission accomplished, we're done. Alex Karp is a driving force of the company, and every single time he reiterates, we are just getting started. I know a lot of CEOs say that. I've been in the Palantir offices. I've taken the tour. I've met a lot of the engineers. I've discoursed with them on X as well. These guys are hungry. They're some of, I think, the most competent engineers out there in the world. They're very mission driven. A lot of them are already set for life, and deservedly so. But yeah, they're the more that they have as far as partnerships in specific industries, the more knowledge that they have of the industry so that they can be able to offer products at scale just across that entire field, like the Skywise and the Ship OS and so forth. So yeah, that too long of an answer for Q&A. I apologize. I love the company. I love what they do. I hope it goes to 50 so I can make it 50% of my position or more.
I just think they're too small, man. I mean, like, I don't think, like, I think the Magnificent Seven is going to get replaced over the next 2 years, 3 years. Not like, we're going to delete Apple, but like in the minds of investors or how people, like what they refer to when they refer to the Magnificent Seven, it's going to be a different composition.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
And I think Palantir is just like, it's 350 billion, 300 billion, something like that. And, it's not going to be the first thing that people think about because they're looking $1 trillion upwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And they won't hit $1 trillion. They shouldn't hit $1 trillion. If they do, go to 50 first, please. But yeah, they shouldn't in 2 years. I think they'll get back over the 50 billion or 500 billion mark. Yeah, exactly, Matt.
Member for 29 months. That's dedication. That's friendship for you guys. Maddie is paying off his $500 in an installment plan.
No. What friendship is, Tevis, is getting to go out to eat with them at a Korean barbecue fusion restaurant this week.
Is that what you have coming up? Thanks for the invite, guys.
I forget that you're a billionaire sometimes and you have your own private jet and everything. So we can we tell you like, hey, meet us for lunch.
I told Michelle, because she was like, oh, we're going to go get lunch with Matt or whatever. And I was just like,
Invite.
yeah, thanks for the invite, Michelle. And she's like, dude, you live in Canada. I'm like, there's these things called planes. I would have flown out. But
you have planes in Canada?
Yeah.
I know you have angry curlers, but
they're all state-owned.
So unrelated. We'll get back to Q&A in just a second. The curling thing. I got to ask about that. Like, have you seen that?
They were cheating in curling. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, twice. The Canadian curler that was in the Olympics 4 times before. Like, I know you guys are a hockey nation, but like
they lost in hockey, bro. Didn't they lose? They lost, I think, to France in hockey, and I was just like, I'm embarrassed.
I'm not
keeping had one thing.
It's just funny, like how opposite that Canadian curler is to the Canadian stereotype that's out there of being like nice and polite and I love Canada.
Yeah, I mean that makes one of us. Let's go to the next question. I'm curious. We never talk about Jamie Dimon's successor. Do you think Noto would be up for that job if he takes it? What happens to SoFi? The only way that Noto is going to replace Jamie Dimon is if JP Morgan buys SoFi. That's it.
And honestly, I don't know who they have internally. I'm sure they have some great people there, and that's the most likely. But if not, we've seen it before where a company will gobble up a much smaller competitor that helps their business somehow, but also brings in the next CEO. So.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's why we don't talk about it. Austin, again, is there a short ETF for companies who retweet Antonio Linares while they're selling? Yeah, that ETF is probably called something to do with hymns. What's the hymns short ETF? Is there one? It's no, I don't think so. That ETF would have made Oh, yeah. It's called HIMD, the Defiance Daily 2X Short HIMS ETF. So that is the ticker symbol, Austin. HIMD, 2X HIMS Short.
HIMS to the moon. It doesn't ring.
Yeah. So there you go. How does Noto anticipate everybody moving towards Mr. P's bank? Ooh, that's
that would have been. I don't know if he could have commented, but that would have been a great question. When you guys interview him again,
the news came out after.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had already filed for the charter last year, so it's like August, September. But yeah, regardless, it's interesting. I don't think we even talked about that as far as BM&R much, maybe separately.
I mean, I covered it on my video last weekend, but I don't think we have talked about it very much.
Yeah, I did as well. Like, what's your take of that for BM&R specifically, and then like Noto?
I think it's like one of the longest games to play, right? Because like the audience, the median age or whatever for Mr. Beast's audience is in the teens, and the earning potential is negligible right now, and so you're getting in on the ground floor because it's going to be a decade, more than a decade maybe, until these people are actually earning real money for you to be a player in the game. I think the wealth transfer is going to go from millennials to from Gen X to millennials before it goes to Gen Z. Like when my parents pass, they're going to pass me their stuff before I pass it to my kid that's not born yet. But you get my point. Like, it doesn't skip a generation. Right. And so I do think that there is a very strong world in which the Robinhoods and the SOFIs do get their time in the sun. And they are right now, right? Because like
wealth transfer. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, I mean, but like even right now, right? Like I think what's the median age for Robinhood? It's like early 30s, something like that. Um, and so step, there's a lot of execution risk from here to there. I'm super bullish on Jimmy, on Mr. Beast, to be able to foster that audience and compound that audience over time. But I think if we're talking about assets under like the deposit base and actual real dollars, it's going to take time for that wealth to build. And
Yeah,
so, yeah.
and likewise, like they're kings at distribution, marketing themselves. We saw Feastables be an incredible success, but it's a lot easier to sell a kid on a candy bar than it is like, hey, get your bank-like account, neobank account with us. That's harder. I think that it'll be a success.
Strategy too. Like there needs to be an actual strategy, man. Like you can't go from selling beef jerky and chocolate to like running a bank.
I mean, like I think that they'll be fine on that. To be honest, there are some things to learn, but what I'm really curious about, like I think they're another player there, but they're not. They don't have the. They have an ILC, if I remember correctly. I actually need to look at the acquisition to see if they have any sort of banking charter. I didn't do that. It's not the same as a national banking charter, like Mr. Noda talks about all the time. There is a strong difference. That's also what PayPal is seeking as well, also in Utah. But yeah, I think it'll be a success. I just don't know, other than like it being an accretive investment, very likely by BM&R, what the play is. I know that there's some mentions of it, but it's just too early to know like what it relates to at all with BM&R specifically or Ethereum.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to the next question. Do you use Claude because you use it at work? I mean, I use it for work and for personal. I would say my current split is like 90 to 95% personal and the remaining for work right now. That's going to change. It's going to be closer to maybe like 80-20 personal / work. But and the reason why is because I'm using the coding functionality a lot for just projects that I've had in my brain or things that I want to do on the side, or like that little clipping tool that I showed you guys. That's just something that helps in my workflow as a content creator, not so much in my actual job. But by that same token, like there's also smaller pieces that I can work on in my job, except for the fact that I have 38 people, 39 people, I think now, on my team, and many of them are developers. So if I need a small widget or something built, I'll just go to them and I'll have it done with much more precision and security and like peace of mind, essentially, versus vibe coding it for myself. It's not, it's not like that, wild, wild west. So that's why. And for everything else, I just use Gemini for prompt-based stuff and Notebook LMs, of course. Are we studying Wix?
Yes. Yeah, if you guys didn't watch, if you're interested in the business, Manuel did a Stock Tank episode with us yesterday. Watch it on either of our channels. Wix, for me anyway, is a wait and see. What I'm looking for and I'm most interested in, I think it's mostly partly a valuation play, but mostly a base 44 play. I want to see how that reports and how they talk about it in their earnings, which is coming up March 3rd or 4th.
March 4th is Wix earnings.
All right.
I think it's a wait and see for me too until the earnings. I think if this was a different part of the market where I was more flush, then maybe I would have taken a gamble on Wix. But I think this is a market where there's deals everywhere. And like Robinhood is one that I've been wanting to add now for a while. It's just like, cool, find the cash, So I think that's the other piece around me not being in Wix right now. And even if I were, it would be a smaller type of position. Is Meta and NVIDIA bearish neoclouds? I don't think so. I mean, Meta already showed you their CapEx ambitions, as did Amazon and others. And I think all that does is it further validates the demand. I think, especially from using some of these tools myself. Okay, so listen to this, guys. There's 300 of you here. I guarantee you, when you guys go on Steve's, and I hope he's not watching this, but when you guys go on Steve's streams in the future, he will be the most bullish out of all of us on AI, because I think I blew his mind earlier today. Because he physically couldn't believe that you can spin up an entire experience in a single morning session. And he was just like, he was speechless, legitimately speechless. He was just like, what is going on? So I think even the people who are skeptical on neoclouds or on the demand thesis in general are going to be super bullish once they actually see it for themselves, or once it sort of reaches their doorstep. And eventually it will. It's a wave, that a tsunami, if you will, that eventually will reach everybody's doorstep. And I think some people see it earlier than others. And that's why, 20+% of my portfolio is in Nebius, because I think the demand is real, and that's validated every single time they report an earnings. But even being 20 some odd percent in Nebius, I'm like, I feel underinvested in the AI trade after using tools like this. And it's just like, whatever you can think up, you can build up in a day. It's crazy.
It is.
Compound that across millions of humans.
Lots of inference.
Dude, you are living in a whole new world.
Like I've seen, and I don't think we want to get into it like in Q&A period. There's projections and predictions out there on what the demand's plant looking like, maybe by 2030 or a little bit beyond. And then there's a lot of people, some are speculators and some are actually in the know. We're like, no, that's way understating what we're going to be at. This technology adoption cycle is happening much more rapidly, and it continues to be the point through much of human history that the next wave is adopted even more rapidly. But this one, I think even more than robotics will be, is just rapidly being deployed across pretty much every aspect of humanity right now. At least, unless you're out very remote, like third world village or something.
Yeah.
So, and it's all inference. Just think what's happening now is, I don't like the analogy with the internet quite as much as I like the mechanization of the 1920s. But as far as the societal shift and impact and the demand, like every single year, we humans create and collect a record amount of data. And it will probably be like that up until the point where our population really starts declining. And even then, it could still well grow. It's the same thing with neoclouds. And yeah, the other thing that I'll add really quick here that actually moved, I mentioned this last night, that moved Nebius in my mind from just like really, really interested to, I have to figure out a way to buy this company like now, not wait for puts to fill anymore, was what the hyperscalers were reporting in earnings, and specifically related to CapEx and the pushback that we saw, especially with Oracle and Amazon, on large CapEx deployments by shareholders. Basically, that sends signals to CEOs. Maybe Zuckerberg holds out the longest and cares the least, but to all of these guys, like, hey, you can do this level of CapEx, but if you're increasing it by this much again and again all the way through the year, we're going to revolt on you. That's very bullish NVIDIA, because there is some CapEx that they must do to be able to capture this AI wave, but they can kick inference over to somebody like Nebius. So like what people are expecting out of neoclouds, I think, is very much understating the opportunity, like very much, significantly.
100%.
Despite DeepSeek 2.0, look into what happened with the new DeepSeek model today. I'm skeptical.
There's a new DeepSeek model coming out tomorrow, right? Or like in 2 or 3 days.
It's coming out this week. They announced a lot of the specifications, and I'm sure it's very good, but there's a lot of questions around it too. And we saw with DeepSeek previously, I think it was. I mean, obviously, it was way too much was read into that than should have been initially. But that's typical for the market. Shoot first and ask questions later. That was our opportunity to get into NVIDIA, and we both did on our own ways. So,
yeah, absolutely. Moody's has earnings tomorrow. Are you interested? The drop seems like a buying opportunity, not my speed personally.
that sounds like a Steve play.
Mm-hmm. If you had a little spare cash, which stocks would you buy after close? Honestly, you want to go first?
Yeah. VG, it had a big drop. Today, there was no news as far as I could tell. In the current macro environment, I don't think it's the worst thing to be holding a very creative energy play. They tend to do well in such environments. And I like the company long term. It's a commodity, LNG is, but they're incredibly vertically integrated, which means basically they compete with everybody and destroy them in terms of margins and capabilities. CapEx deployment. They're awesome. Like, check out the company if you're interested in energy. But yeah, with the drawdown and everything, moving away from 10, they're 8 something. If I had to pick up something to buy, I did not buy anything today, it would have been VG. I want to add a little bit more, and I can, since it fell in some other parts of my portfolio risk.
Yeah, let me give you an answer that you guys might have heard me talk about in the past.
Is it Palantir?
Just kidding. It's not Palantir. Imagine. It's Figma. So Figma, and this just came out today. Figma and Anthropic just announced a new partnership. The companies launched a new feature called Code to Canvas that converts code generated inside AI tools like Claude Code into fully editable designs inside Figma. Like, we replaced the software engineer. Now we're going to replace the designer in the process. It's absolutely crazy. And the reason why it's interesting now is because Figma reports earnings tomorrow after the bell. And Figma is, in fact, down quite a bit since they went public. So they're at $23 a share. They were up a little bit today because of that news with Anthropic. But if you look at this, I mean, we were following the story from the very beginning, Roy, where Figma went up as high as $142 and then just completely came back down as low as $19.85 and found some footing. We'll see what it does on earnings. I'm not buying it ahead of earnings. I'm not buying it tomorrow. I am going to be listening to their earnings, though, to just see, what do they report? What do their numbers look like? What is the guidance going to, look like? So that I can potentially get in, because it's looking attractive right now. It's $11.5 billion. And, I think if they're having partnerships like this with Anthropic and they're actually innovating on their product offering, then that is pretty solid, from my perspective.
So Figma, and you and I agree. Like, I think you've spent more time on it ever since the IPO, for sure. And I've used it some. You probably use it a lot more than I have. I like it, but for context, it's trading at a little bit above $11 billion market cap.
Yep.
In 2023 in December, Adobe offered $20 billion.
Yep.
That's almost double from here for a company that had not grown into its current size. It has had 2 very, very good years of growth since then. This is a company, honestly, that if it wasn't for this narrative that AI is going to disrupt software, kill SaaS, I think it would be trading at $30 billion. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it's going to turn around immediately like that. It's interesting, especially as it continues to fall even further. And I almost kind of wonder if the market's not going to even care about the earnings of growth at this point. And if so, Tevis, like right now where it's trading at, like, could we see this in the teens at some point?
Yeah, I mean, we did see it in the teens a couple of days ago. It was $19.85.
Yeah, and we could even see, like, I don't think that we see single digits, but if we do, man, I'm going to have to really, I'm probably just going to have to get in.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what they actually report, right?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a ton of optionality, because a lot of these companies are reporting their guidance for the full year as well, right? And like, okay, HIMS is going to be reporting their guidance. Figma is going to be reporting their guidance. Wix is going to be reporting their guidance. And so it's just like, what do I want to get in? Well, who can sell me on their story more? That's where my cash is going, right? And so I don't think there's going to be a rush to get in on anything prior to hearing the earnings. And if the earnings is like, oh my God, it exploded 20% on earnings, it's like, great, this thing's been down like 90% over the past 3 months. Who cares? Buy it a little bit more expensive. But you at least can buy it with the peace of mind of knowing that they're going to do well.
Yep.
So I think that answers, I think it was Catherine who asked as well. I would definitely wait. Similar to Figma, Wix, HIMS, even if I want to completely cut or add more or whatever, just wait until earnings. Okay. Given good macros and very impressive results from Palantir, how much till we go back to $200 and how long till we hit 1 trillion? That's $600. Something like that.
350 billion right now. So 200, I think we probably get it again this year. Like maybe it takes 3 to 6 months. There's some very concerted attacks on Palantir right now. We can speculate on the reasons. There's probably a couple of different reasons from a couple of different actors, obviously monetary too. But that little bit of a cloud hanging over Palantir, despite like you look at the numbers and what they've done with the higher valuation, this can last a little bit longer. And I think as long as there's an overhang on the AI space and AI trade a bit, you may see that also on Palantir. I mean, honestly, it should be in the same space. So 1 trillion, it could happen as early. I mean, it could happen anytime because stocks don't have to be rational in terms of the market cap. But I would say probably at earliest 3 years from now, which I know would sound extreme to probably most people that are in chat, but I think it's very possible. Given this year, they're likely to grow at least north of 65% revenue year over year. They're at 70% this year right now. Their margins are improving. They're not like rapidly growing headcount. They did grow some, but there's the only two bearish things really are they have too much cash. That's a good problem to have. And international growth has been pretty lackluster. So UK did okay, but yeah.
Yeah, eToro was up 20% today. Crazy.
Yeah. Still probably undervalued, but yeah.
Yeah, I got to figure out at what price I would be buying Palantir again. Definitely under 100. So I'm not even thinking about it right now because I don't even know if it's going to get there or not. It's a huge psychological level. But yeah, for sure. Are we researching Wix? I think we answered this. Are you guys using Claude Pro and Excel? Why don't you do a demo showing us how you're using it? Well, I mean, you could rewind to the beginning of this show and I showed you guys what I was building, which maybe I'll just make public for free, and why not? But in Excel, Steve has used it in Excel, and like he was telling me this morning, his mind was blown when he used it in Excel. He's like, dude, I gave it, and like it created like a DCF for him in like a second. And he was like, it's the future. I'm like, dude, like you probably prompted this thing wrong. It was probably like a one-shot thing. And I was like, you can do more impressive stuff with it. Keep playing around. But he was definitely impressed. Question: all roads lead through TSM. Why do none of us spend time talking about them? Good question.
Yeah, honestly, I was, but you'd have to go back, I think, 4 months ago, and then a little bit before that as well. But it's kind of like a chicken or egg type of thing. Like, do you want TSM or do you want NVIDIA? Well, I like a super concentrated portfolio. NVIDIA is easier for me to see into, so I'll go with NVIDIA and Jensen Huang. But yeah, I think TSM is going to be more than just fine. They had a great earnings. CapEx spend didn't spook investors at the time. We'll have to see how this works out, but we probably should be.
Yeah. Josh Brown mentioned today that Apple is a dark horse in the AI game for 2026. Do you guys agree? Well, sir, I'm glad you asked. Because Apple is doing a very unique strategy when it comes to the AI. They're just doing nothing. So
that chart's hard to see, but yeah.
That's a CapEx spend. And so many people take this so many different ways. I was just like, hey, this is going to be the downfall of Apple. And people are like, oh, no, they're actually the smartest ones because they're just waiting it out and this and that. And it's just like, all right, we'll see, I guess. The fact that there's so much disagreement over this chart being good or bad just shows you that we're either in a massive bubble or there's still a lot of opportunity in what the market sees / values versus what the reality is. Because quite frankly, all of those other 4 names, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta, sold off on the news around the CapEx. So who's right, guys? I don't know.
Yeah, Apple has not really taken their future seriously at all. They've maintained, instead of disrupting a lead like they did under Steve Jobs, let's just make ours incrementally better and just be good enough so maybe people won't switch away. Eventually, that strategy is not going to be enough. And I think that this is, people are pivoting, are saying that this was smart of Apple. Look back a couple of years when they launched Apple Intelligence and they were as excited as anybody else. Look at the earnings calls. As anybody else with AI, they just didn't have the capability and they messed up terribly. And they're like, okay, let's not accelerate CapEx spend. We're already too late. And I think where you come down on whether this is good or bad now. Now, it was a mistake, but I think that the one thing they've done well is they're like, okay, we're too far behind. We would have to go after all these different talents that are out there. This would be incredibly expensive. We don't even know if we could pull it off. Then the right strategy at that point became, let's punt on this and we'll just partner with whichever that we want in our ecosystem. I mean, like, really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you remember, I think it was last year, Roy, or maybe 2 years ago, where we were like, Apple should buy Anthropic. Apple should buy. Can you imagine if we lived in that parallel universe if they had bought Anthropic?
Apple might have become the largest company in the world again by market cap.
Sure.
Until this week, if Dario was out there.
So I don't know if Josh is correct. I mean, Apple has proven that they don't need to have first mover advantage multiple times over in their career. It's sort of like their MO. Like, they just don't care about first mover advantage. But I don't know that I don't know how long you can play that game with AI where you're just like, we'll see what happens first and then we'll do it. I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, this is exponentially faster than any other technology out there. So, what share price does NVIDIA finish the month of February at? Let me just look at my crystal ball here.
NVIDIA is now a stable coin, so wherever it's at is going to be my prediction. It's 186.43. That is my answer.
It's 184.97. Oh yeah, 186. Okay, after hours 40. Yeah. That's where you think it finishes February?
Yeah, it's a stable coin right now.
It reports before the end of February, doesn't it?
I know. I think it'll be volatile between now and then. I think, like, you can tell me this. Is there something that Jensen Huang can say or something that NVIDIA shows or does that dispels the myth that's out there on the AI trade right now? The answer is no. It's got to be something external to NVIDIA.
I guess. I mean, his commentary recently was like incredibly bullish, and so it got me very excited about the AI trade as a whole. My friend got me one of these like puzzles that I'm trying to unhook, like a tangled thing, and it's just I gotta unhook it. So I'm like obsessed with this. I don't know what they can say or do or report that would make the market respect them. They've been trading at a discount for quite a while now. So we're going to see what happens on earnings. Your guess is as good as mine. 186 is fine, I guess. My puts are for $200 on March 20th, so we're going to see if your boy gets assigned on those. But if I do, then that's good news. If I don't, then that's good news.
Yeah, honestly, even there, it's a great company at a great price. This overhang won't last forever either, right? At some point, it does get dispelled. It's not going to be because of NVIDIA, because I mean, it can't be. They're like, oh, of course you would say that. It's because you want your stock to go up. Well, yeah, but if it's true, whatever.
Yeah. Very true. I'll say $200 by the end of February, just to make it fun.
All right.
Is cybersecurity the play if AI is everything everyone thinks it might be? I feel like cybersecurity doesn't get a lot of love, but it seems it will be important.
Yeah, I need to really start digging in and updating myself more. A lot of these stocks are like Rubric down significantly, Service One down significantly. I had to look up CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is down only like 9% over the last year, so it's not too far. Of course, it was going through all its controversies back then, but yeah, a lot of the sector has been caught up in that same software as a service value. Multiple value decreasing, what am I trying to say? The PE value compressing. And this could be an opportunity to get into there. I've always wanted to have, and there's several companies that I like, but I need to learn more on. So that's a good shout out. I was actually thinking about that earlier today.
Have you looked at SoFi's 10K? I haven't had a chance to see it yet. It came out today.
Yeah.
You use the Claude desktop app? Yes, I do. Do we think CrowdStrike is more important than ever in the AI world? We just addressed that. Is Wix giving you PayPal vibes? Would you rather get into Wix than PayPal?
The only thing that does is like the bloat on the headcount. Nothing else gives me PayPal vibes there. But yes, anything but PayPal.
What comes first, NVIDIA to 200 or Tevis figuring out this puzzle? Honestly, I will stay up all night trying to figure it. Like, I am very hard-headed when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. You're gonna figure it out by like you're falling asleep, you drop it, and then it comes apart, and you wake up and you're so mad.
Bro, if me figuring this out was the secret to magically make NVIDIA go to 200,
all right,
I would buy calls for this Friday, and I would just stay up all day, all night, no food, no work, no nothing, just figuring it out. I'd do it for you.
Appreciate that.
Is UiPath the future alternative to Palantir, Roy?
Yeah, I've not kept up with UiPath. I know a lot of people are asking about it, talking about it. I know UiPath 2023 version quite well. And really what happened is Palantir continued to iterate to the point where it wasn't that UiPath crossed over to where Palantir was. Maybe they have it. I don't think so. Like, you can't build an ontology the way they have or a product like they have in that little amount of time. But I would say no. But that doesn't mean that what UiPath is doing, even where it overlaps with Palantir, that they can't be a winner there as well. This is a space that's going to have multiple winners. And at least when I looked at it in 2023, my thought of it, and it turned out true, was they're a pretty good company. They're pretty interesting. And then you have Palantir, which is elite. I'm not going to sell some elite for something that's... Now, the valuation has since then maybe changed the equation a bit. I still wouldn't sell Palantir for any UiPath, but it's... again, I've not kept up much. I've seen what some other people have said, but I'd say no.
Please sell me on Nebius. What's the top 3 reasons to buy, not hold? I'm planning maybe a new position. Yeah, somebody else said it in the chat. Go watch the videos that either of us have made on Nebius, and we talk extensively about why we're bullish. Maybe that's just the answer, honestly, because it's a whole thing for us to get into. But yeah, I have a whole playlist on Nebius, make videos on a weekly basis on Nebius, so definitely go watch those. There's a lot of stuff to be bullish on. I actually just did a breakdown of their Q4 earnings, so maybe just go watch that. And yeah, it's up on the channel. You can watch it. And yeah. When is Canada coming out with an AI model? Never. Unless Shopify comes out with their own thing, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, that's a good call out.
Dude, Canada's like 3 banks, 3 media companies, and Shopify. Like that's the entire country.
Like, yeah. It's crazy that Shopify is Canadian. Like it's so off.
No, it's not crazy that they're Canadian. It's crazy that they've stayed Canadian.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Right? There's been so many innovations that have started in Canada, companies, entrepreneurs that have all been Canadian. None of them have stayed Canadian because there's no utility. It's actually counterintuitive to do that. But, Toby is still, he loves the abuse. Let's put it that way. Because he still supports Canada and the Canadian ecosystem, even though every single government official and every single embedded, industry that we have here that's all oligopolized, they're all against them, and every single policymaker. And yet, for some reason, he's just like, "Yep, he's still bullish." Beats me, man. I would have thought he would have left years ago.
Yeah.
Y'all buying the New York Times? No.
Nah. Or do they mean the product? Also, nah. Although The Athletic is like, if you're into sports, that's a good rag.
When do you sell everything and go full on Amazon? What price would be required? Wow, that's a good question.
I don't even know.
Sell everything?
It'd have to be really low.
Yeah, like assuming Amazon was the only thing that fell.
Yeah.
And everything kept the same price. At what price would we sell everything and go all in Amazon?
Maybe 40.
40?
Yeah. Dude, all on Amazon?
I was thinking like 100, but
no, like buy Amazon, yes, well before 100. Like, but all in on Amazon, selling everything else. I like based on valuation, the way I see Amazon is it's a very good company. It's not an elite company. It's not a generational company. And so even if the valuation is attractive, like at 100, it's very attractive. I would have a hard time selling generational companies for a good company that is mispriced.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think 100, maybe $80, something like that. I think could do the trick. But yeah, I would be really reluctant to sell some of my positions for sure.
Yeah, like that's really the thing. If you're asking the all-in thing, there's very few companies that I've thought of what scenario would I actually go all in. It's basically companies that I see as generational.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those is less than 0.5% of my position. So, or portfolio. Tesla. There is an all-in price on Tesla, but it's above Gordon Johnson's price target. But
wait, what's your all-in price on Tesla?
85.
85?
Yes.
I mean, that's not that bad. It went to 100 2 years ago.
2023, yeah. I think honestly, the big difference in my mind, Tevis, is, well, I guess twofold. I own 2 Teslas now. Seeing is believing. I've experienced full self-driving on hardware stack 4, and it is magical. It is ridiculous. They've solved autonomy. There's still some things to figure out. Not everything's perfect. Versus in 2023, that was not the case. Full self-driving was pretty cool, but kind of a working prototype more than anything, or really advanced cruise control. Now it's magic. So, and the bots are coming. So, yeah, 85.
That's fair, I guess.
What about for you for Tesla?
Would I go all in on Tesla?
Yeah, 100% of your portfolio Tesla.
150.
150. Okay, yeah, you're
150, 180.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And of course, it depends what is happening in the rest of the macro, and
also assuming it didn't get sold off for some good reason,
yeah.
Oh my god,
Elon Musk went crazy and donated all future proceeds to some charity for the next 30 years, Oh,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, like I don't know. I've been procrastinating on this, but like a part of me thinks I should just be buying more Tesla on the off chance that not on the off chance, but like I think that there will be some reverse merger or some type of consolidation between SpaceX and Tesla, and I think that's going to really jumpstart the valuation.
yeah.
And I think I want to be around for that. So I don't know.
Looks like it's going to fall into the 300s again. Well, it did
Yeah.
briefly in February 5th. So, yeah, crazy things have happened like that. Tesla at 100 in 2023, November, December. That was a crazy thing. I just thought it could get crazier. Now, like it's obviously not going to go to 85. Like really bad things would have to be happening probably in the entire world or especially the US to see that.
Yeah. And I think it's just gonna keep like it's gonna go up once like the closer we are to the bots. So I do think like I do want to have a sizable position for that. Like I've said publicly on this pod before, like I am at my smallest allocation of Tesla than I've historically ever been. So it is what it is. Let's see. When are you all shorting Caterpillar and Wall?
Yeah, I mean, like I think some are calling it the boomer trade. I wouldn't fade that. These are like real companies, they're quality. What tends to happen rather than, especially with this type of company, when they go up rapidly, they just consolidate. Like they'll retrace some and they'll consolidate probably at a much higher range than you expect. So even if I was the type of guy that was into shorting or doing puts, which I very rarely do even puts, I wouldn't touch it.
I'm so freaking close on this thing, man. I say that, and it's going to be like next week, and I haven't solved it yet. Tough question, but given what you think about the future, what companies have potential to be leaders in the AI revolution? Not the next 2 to 3 years, but the next 5 to 10 years.
And obviously, leaders in the AI revolution. So I'm thinking like more than just hardware. So NVIDIA, I think, is a pretty obvious choice. Google as well, and Palantir.
NVIDIA, Google, Palantir. Leaders in the AI revolution. In 10 years?
5 to 10 years. Nebius is maybe there too. Like it depends. I think it's too early to read into what they're building into their cloud, but what do you think?
You know what, man? Like, I'll tell you what a sleeper pick is. I honestly think that one of the companies that might be one of the most impactful over the next 10 years, not necessarily 5, but 10 years, I don't think we even know about it. I don't think it's even in our radar right now. Like, I genuinely think that. Like, 10 years is a long time, and AI just accelerates the pace of everything.
Yeah,
and so I'm not saying it doesn't exist as a company, but it's probably private right now.
Yeah, I thought you were actually going to give a name, like some random obscure, like not even a Figma, and it's like, oh,
no,
do a Manuel.
No, I mean, I'm sure there are private companies right now that I'm like, oh yeah, this one's gonna like make it big, but it's kind of different because in this world they would just get acquired, or like I don't think they would be able to see themselves through to that stage. Like,
it would take a founder that just kind of manic, like an Alex Karp, that's more vision and principle driven than money driven.
And well, do you think Anthropic gets acquired over the next 5 years?
I think that ship is probably sailed, but I mean, there's a chance.
Sailed as in they don't?
Huh?
Sailed as in they don't get acquired?
I think that they probably don't. I think Apple was the most natural pairing, and I don't think Apple will. Now, Google could, and it would probably benefit them, but also there's a lot of overlap in things that they've already built, and what Claude has built as well. OpenAI, I don't think can acquire Anthropic. I don't think that they will acquire Anthropic, and they probably shouldn't either. It's like a really bad look as far as where you're at as a business. Yeah, like I think that Zuck is just going to go in his own way, maybe poach some talent here or there or smaller acquisitions. We've seen, NVIDIA acquire Grok with a Q, not a K. I just, other than Apple, like who would be of size to acquire them? Because what's Anthropic's valuation? Is it 18 billion?
No, it's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be way bigger than that.
No, they did an 18 billion raise. Was that it? Recent raise. Raised 30 billion at they raised 30 billion at a 380 billion valuation. Yeah. I was off by a factor of 10.
380 billion. Jeez, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like, who's going to acquire them now?
But like, think about that, man. Like, this is what I mean about the dark horse picks, because like OpenAI came out of nowhere, and now they're like, if you stack rank all the companies, private and public, OpenAI is definitely up there in like the top 15, let's say, by size. Anthropic in the 300 billions came out of nowhere, right? Like, there's definitely going to be other companies that just come out of nowhere and just start hitting the ground running from an execution perspective. So I do think that, like, if you're talking 10 years out, like, we definitely, it's somebody that we haven't met yet,
Yeah, it could be.
And that's exciting. Like, that is pretty exciting premise for me, Let's see. I stacked ranked OpenAI. Okay. Cool, Tanner. Thanks for that beautiful contribution. Yeah, Roy, he's gone. He's chasing that dopamine high of figuring out that puzzle. I'm not even here, bro. I'm close though. Look at this. I'm not even close at all. This is I got to get this, man. NVIDIA 200 is riding on this. You don't understand the level of pressure that I'm under. This is my Olympics. But yeah, no, we're out of questions, Roy. We don't have any more questions. Is Oklo AI? No. It's energy.
It's in the AI trade along with a lot of others, but that's a nuclear reactor company, energy play related to this. It's like VG is for me.
I think you have to put it in the microwave.
Lick it right after.
What did I just join in on? Bro, this is what the fun streams feel like, all right? No charts, just puzzles.
I don't think he knows about the Ron and Travis show yet either.
Yeah, Ron and Travis show is where it's at. Do you think negative public sentiment politics can stop Palantir from reaching its full potential? I'm thinking notably of the recent Switzerland headline.
100%, yes. I think that's the main explanation for lack of international adoption. Some of it is specific to Palantir. A lot of it is not. But there is also negative sentiment towards American tech companies, specifically in Europe. Some of that's related to the tit for tat tariff wars, so to speak, but some of it's really not. It's been there for a while. So yeah, that for sure. Now, even not reaching its full potential, if it just reaches its full potential here in, like, let's say parts in Southeast Asia, Middle East, and with NATO-friendly countries that they could sell into, and the United States, it's still amazing potential. But there's a good chance that this sentiment continues and it does stop them from reaching what they ultimately could be. The one last thing I'll say on this too is I do wonder if Europe continues to fall behind, with some exceptions, in AI, and that begins to have massive ramifications negatively for their society, if they'll actually pivot and change. They tend to not be fairly obdurate, but I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Tanner says, I was mind sweeping so much I have to block the site. Don't tell me about puzzles, buddy. Hold on. There was something here.
Yeah, Nebius is building in Europe. That's it's a small reason why I like them, but I do really like that.
Catherine says this is 100% the best show. It's my favorite show. I am pissed at myself. I forgot that it's on Tuesdays. You hear that, Tanner? Nobody says that about your show. They say it about ours. We gotta do Ron and Travis show, bro. Like we gotta actually announce that. And,
I'm available this Friday. You want to do it?
This Friday?
Yeah.
My only problem with this Friday is that like it just I don't know, man. 2 podcasts that are both general in nature on the same day. It's just so I don't know.
Yeah, what we have to do is figure out, and actually, I think Steve maybe gave us the topic with the article today on Amazon. We could talk about that, or we could revisit the SaaS stuff. There was a couple of interesting things that came out that we could discuss on that. But yeah, let's figure out the topic there, and if there's enough news, which I'm sure there will be between now and then, we can try it this Friday.
Yeah, I dropped the puzzle, guys. All right, like, geez, you guys are worse than my parents. Will Noto hit 35 PSUs, or is it impossible now?
It's not impossible, but it's pretty hard. Weighted average over 90 days above 35, volume weighted average. The stock would have to get moving now, like now.
Yeah. It's pretty impossible.
Yeah.
Like it would have to basically like double overnight and then keep that range for the next 3 months.
Yeah, and I was hoping that they'd get it. I mean, it'd be good for all the shareholders if they did. But the reality is there's less dilution in the stock as a result. And these are guys that I don't think will be like, I'm going to leave the company because I didn't hit these. They're going to get new grants that'll lock them in for another time at much higher, if they do it around a price target, at much higher valuation than we're at today.
All right. Steve just replied to Burry. Hang on now. Hang on now. This is breaking news right here. Holy shit.
Is it long?
Oh
my goodness.
Dear Dr. Burry. Yeah, we're not going to read this shit, bro.
Yeah, the too long didn't read is you don't understand Palantir and you're being disingenuous.
Yeah. I'm sorry that happened to you, or, you know, you're welcome, depending on what it is. Exactly.
Yes. The meme. Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, anybody that knows anything about Palantir, that's actually spent time in it, even people that don't like Palantir particularly, they look at what Burry's saying and doing, they're like, dude, even analysts, like I saw an analyst note this past weekend that basically was like, yeah, we read all 10,000 letters in your Burry's thing. And they said that like at the very top, and they're like, there's nothing credible here. Our price target remains the same. And they did a little bit more on it, but it sounded like they were almost surprised too that Burry has just lost his freaking mind. I don't think he has. I think he's just being very disingenuous.
All right, here's what Grok has to say. Stephen Fiorillo rebuts Michael Burry's bearish Substack thesis on Palantir.
Wait, this is still too long. Get Claude to summarize it. Just summarize a summary.
Yeah, exactly. Shorter. Dumb it down for me. By highlighting an outdated 2020 S1 references and unverified anecdotes, emphasizing the company's shift to a scalable software model where forward deployed engineers build reusable IP. Dude. It's too smart for me.
Oh, you're killing me.
Okay, super simple version, like you're 10. Thank you. Michael Burry, the guy from the Big Short movie, who this sounds exactly like I would covering this news.
Yeah.
The guy who predicted the housing crash wrote a long article saying Palantir is way overpriced and kind of fake. It's basically a bunch of expensive consultants dressed up as cool software company. Their old marketing was hypey, and some old employees said shady stuff. Their numbers look fishy.
This actually is very similar, like it's way dumbed down to what Burry actually said, especially that title about being dressed up. That's from the title of the piece too. So it's just, yeah.
Dude, this is exactly how I would cover the news. Am I just a dumb? Am I stupid?
No, but you know how to speak dumb.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome, my friend.
Yeah, well, nah, dude. He bet against the stock, so he bought puts. Then Stephen Fiorillo, a guy who's followed Palantir closely for years and used to be super excited about it, read Burry's article and said, "Nah, dude, you're looking." That's what the "nah, dude" is from. And said, "You're looking at a super old info from like 2020. That's not how Palantir works today in 2026. Here's an easy breakdown of Fiorillo's main pushback. 1, not really consultants. Old school consultants like Accenture just send people to do work, then leave. Nothing reusable stays with the company. Palantir sends smart engineers to build custom stuff on top of their own software. Every time they do that, they make their software better and reusable for the next customer. That's why those those engineers cost research and development, not regular expenses. 2, the customers leaving / not spending worry is old news. A few years ago, the customers slowed down spending. The economy sucked. Palantir was also switching from mostly governments to big normal companies and commercial. But in 2025 and 2026, they're spending way more, 680 new deals. Growth is actually speeding up. Bottom line for Fiorillo, yeah, the stock is expensive right now and it can definitely drop more in the short term. But Burry's long article mostly attacks 2020 stuff and misses how strong the real business has become in the last couple of years. The future numbers look that they can grow in the current high price. So basically, Burry says this is an overhyped bubble junk from the past. Fiorillo says that was kind of true years ago, but right now it's a fast-growing, actually profitable software company printing money. Both can kind of be right at once. Short-term, stock too expensive can fall. Long-term, if they keep growing this fast, today's price might not look so nuts in 3 to 4 years. That's the fight in plain English.
Yeah.
No way a 10-year-old is understanding this.
Tevis could understand this.
Yeah, you should tweet that summary at him. Be like, "Hey, dummy, maybe this is something you'll understand."
Here, Burry. Oh, man.
All right. Steve needs to use AI to summarize his thoughts. We're getting there, Matthew. It's slow and steady, man. Dear Doctor. Tough question. But given what you think about the future, I mean, you guys haven't been watching the show long enough to ask our thoughts about the future. I'm still playing with this thing, by the way. I'm just keeping it off screen so you guys don't yell at me again. What companies have the potential to be leaders in the AI? Oh, we did this already.
Yeah.
Have we touched on RVI? Was that the Robinhood Ventures?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's at the beginning.
I had to make sure, but yeah. That's around the 30-minute mark.
Yeah. Bay Area Elite says, will Nebius hit 251st? Okay. You know what? Thank you for that. This is what I get for not reading questions ahead of time.
Bay Area Elite at 826. That's a good question. I was hoping you'd do it again.
Do you think I'm dumb? Do you think I'm?
You just. This was to help you.
This one-handed while talking to you and trying to read these questions. All right.
This was to help you. See, you questioned whether or not you were dumb. I told you no. You just know how to speak dumb, and now you've proven that you're not dumb because you didn't fall for it. Okay.
You guys, you don't appreciate me. And that is a little bit of a preview at what you guys can expect on the Ron and Travis show. So, Ron, why don't you tell them what it's all about while I play with this?
Ron and Travis Fiesta Fridays is all about Tevis playing with puzzles and us taking Q&A. No, it's basically a abbreviated version of this show, which can be a lot more off topic. It doesn't have to be, for instance, on just stocks, although I know a lot of it will be stocks and investing. We'll probably typically have one central topic that we talk about, if sometimes maybe even as many as two, not nearly as much as this. And much of this show is going to be dedicated to a shorter version of Q&A. So I think the longest we would do that show is an hour and a half. Probably it's closer to an hour. And yeah, it's for fun. We like hanging out with you guys. So
it sure is fun.
Yeah, we I see a question on like, are we going to get political? Like, I'd open up probably a little bit more there. I won't like say I voted for this and I do this and I think this on every single thing. But yeah, we're open to like off topic things. Sports isn't really like my thing. History, love, sports is a thing for Tevis. Politics, macro stuff, general shifts. Yeah. We'll see what the show becomes, and if you guys enjoy it. And it kind of like with Bootleg, it evolves over time too. Like what we enjoy doing and what you guys also enjoy, that tends to be the direction that the show goes. So maybe Tevis dancing. We'll see.
Maybe. Yeah, let's hold our breath for that one for sure. Any chance you can do a show about options?
Yes. Yeah. We for sure could. Like, especially if it's on the basic level, because I do keep it pretty basic. When you get into level 3 options, that's where some of the stuff, like I do use some level 3 options, usually vertical spreads, but for the most part, like there's so many different ways you can do it. And people say, oh, it's this or that option, and I have to like, okay, what is that option? Again, what is it actually doing? So I'm no expert there, but yeah, the basics for level 1, level 2 options, and what they are, how they work, risks involved. I'm interested in doing that. I'm very close, but I'm still working on the PhD. So once I get that knocked out, I'll have a little bit more brain space.
Is global warming real or is it a scam? I'm in Canada. I'm paying a lot of money on carbon tax. I feel like it's not working. You got to pay more, Catherine. That's how it works. If you pay more, it'll work. And that's
yeah. I would be glad to discuss that. And of course, I'm not going to say it's a real or scam. It's somewhere where it's over. It's kind of like the stock market. It's overshot what's actually there. But I'll save it for the Ron and Travis show.
Yeah, Roy has no opinion on global warming. Ron, however, is very opinionated on that.
And has a minor in geology. I know it's just a minor, but
yeah. Shall we wrap it up?
You're being bad.
Shall we wrap it up there, Roy, or is there anything else that we want to talk about?
Let's wrap there. Guys, thanks for hanging with us on this beautiful Tuesday. Really appreciate you guys. Make this show just a lot of fun. And as always, I wish you the rest of the week. Happy investing.
Thanks, y'all. See you next Tuesday. Bye.